And here we go on this Saturday morning, 9 a.m. We are so glad you're here. We have a busy day. We have a lot of stuff to tell you about, but we want to start with the weather on this Saturday morning. Let's take a live look outside. You are looking at the Atlanta skyline. You can see a little bit of the blue skies there, but it is definitely a cloudy-ish start to the day. Let's get a check of the forecast with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes. And Alex, we've been talking about this for a few days. We knew that the weekend was going to see some storms coming through, and that's still the expectation this afternoon.
It is, and it's not just a storm. It's probably going to be multiple rounds of storms. We've already seen some wet weather in several communities this morning. That first wave beginning to push off towards the Augusta area, but as that's happening, the second wave kind of taking shape and moving in at the same time. So here is Fox 5 Live Viper. First, let's go down towards Lake Oconee. I did see a storm roll over there in the last little bit. I do have the lightning turned on, and you can see that in the 4 lightning strikes, right? So it is technically a storm, but it's pushing off towards really Taliaferro County, over towards Wilkes County here in the next little bit, and is going to be history for us. Now, let me take you up towards, this is going to be northwest Georgia, where we're seeing some pockets of heavy rain now in and around the Chattanooga area. You see really right along highway or Interstate 59 there in Dade County. This is kind of an axis, if you will, of showers, but the front itself is still well back off to the west. I'm going to flip this to the national radar, and you're going to see kind of a broken line right in here. And the expectation today is that this front begins to pick up the shower and storm activity. So let's go through it. Out the door today, looking for wet weather, particularly during the early afternoon. I think it's going to be the wettest time when most people are seeing rain at that 80% chance before we see a break into the evening hours. Now, something to highlight today, the storms aside, or the storm threat aside, is the flash flooding threat. The Gulf is open for business. We have plenty of moisture in our area across the state of Georgia, across the state of Alabama, so that's going to be a factor today. Now, tomorrow's rain chance is going to be a question of where this cold front ends up stalling out. So, if it stalls further west over Metro Atlanta, this would be an increased rain chance for Metro Atlanta on Sunday. This would send our rain chances up to like 80%. And our global models, the European, the GFS, they're doing this. Now, our high-resolution models, which we look at, the Barron 3K, the graph models, you see them every day on Fox 5, they have the system stall a little further off to the east, which would be a lower rain chance for Metro Atlanta, which is actually our forecast with only a 40% chance of rain tomorrow. Now, severe weather today. We do have a level 2 for Chattooga, Dade, Walker, Catoosa, Whitfield counties, a level 1 elsewhere. But Tyler, I don't want you to look at this map and say, all right, Carrollton has a severe weather threat and Noonan doesn't. Because realistically speaking, I think everybody's on somewhat equal playing field for the threat of a strong storm today, damaging winds and some isolated large hail. And then with the front stalling tomorrow, that threat is shifted to the east, a level 1 for pretty much everybody. But again, I don't want you to look at it in Marietta and go, okay, I'm right on the edge, but I'm good, because I think you could still see a strong storm there tomorrow. Here's the Barron 3K model. So this is one of those high resolution ones. And notice we get some storms in here this afternoon, and then another round. Here comes the front through the evening hours. There's 9 p.m. and then on into the overnight, some wet weather moving through. And as I mentioned, front stalls off to the east, so that's going to be the focal point, at least on that model run, for the showers and storms tomorrow. 70% chance of rain today. Actually, that just went up to 90. It looks like the National Weather Service just updated their forecast grids. Got to go update ours, which is reasonable, right? I think most people are going to see rain today. And let's take a look at the back-to-school forecast. Monday, the big day for a lot of people here. Temperatures in the 80s through the afternoon, not only on Monday, but each day that follows, with a 30 and 40% chance of rain each afternoon.
Looks like it's going to be a busy day. We know you guys are going to be staying on top of it. You're here. Greg Majeski will be here a little bit later on, and keeping everyone up to date on the forecast to make sure everyone's staying safe out there.
We will be doing that through the afternoon.
And we'll check in with you in just about a half hour.
Sounds
Alex,
good.
Thanks so much. Let's talk about some of the headlines we're following right now as we come on at 9 a.m. Let's talk about this right here. So we now know police have arrested a 17-year-old suspect in connection with a deadly shooting at Piedmont Park during a 404-day celebration. Kane Burnett is the name. He turned himself in to the Paulding County Jail last night. Investigators say Burnett is just 17 years old. 16-year-old Tiana Robinson was killed in the April 4th shooting. Burnett is charged with reckless conduct, possession of a pistol by a person under the age of 18, and discharging a weapon near a public street. Another story we're following right now has to do with this. Look at that. That is a massive bus, a stash of cash that was recovered in Athens. A multi-agency drug investigation ends with a man in handcuffs and the seizure of, as you can see, tens of thousands of dollars in cold hard cash. According to the Athens-Clarke County Police Department, authorities, including the Northeast Georgia Regional Drug Task Force, recovered a trafficking quantity of fentanyl, which we know is extremely dangerous. They also recovered 4 firearms, 4 vehicles, and approximately $74,000 in cash. Authorities arrested Darren Turner, and the Athens man faces multiple charges, including fentanyl trafficking and possession of firearms by a convicted felon. Let's take you to Hall County now, where there has been an arrest. 2 people have been charged in connection to a drive-by shooting at a convenience store. Deputies have charged Travis White and Cooper Robinson with aggravated assault. Hopefully we can get you their mugshots. It happened at the Stop By Food Mart. There it is. Those are the 2 suspects that have been arrested. This all happened on Dahlonega Highway. Authorities say the men went to the store to buy alcoholic beverages. The clerk refused the sale, which led to an argument before the men left the business. Deputies say a woman also jumped into the argument in defense of the clerk. Investigators say once in the car, the suspects pulled out a gun and fired shots at the store. Let's talk about this as we come back into the newsroom on this busy Saturday morning. You're looking now at the picture of Heather Turner. The Paulding County coroner says she will conduct an inquest into the 2017 death of Heather Turner. This happened months after the sheriff's office closed the case. So eventually, what does an inquest mean? That means the Paulding County coroner is essentially opening a new investigation. In May 2017, Turner's husband, Andy Turner, found her inside their home with a gunshot wound to her head. This past February, the sheriff's office officially ruled the death a suicide. The coroner, Lindsay Fuller, says she was not included in several meetings with investigators earlier this year. Fuller says she is not prepared to support changing Turner's death certificate from undetermined to suicide. She believes an investigation jury should hear sworn testimony about her death. That would allow a jury to decide Turner's manner of death. The coroner says she will hold a news conference within 2 weeks to be able to discuss the next steps in this investigation. Let's talk about this now. We had a reporter on the scene covering this yesterday. Multiple law enforcement agencies are working to find a missing man at Carter's Lake in North Georgia. Authorities say Sean Cunningham has been missing now for several days. Authorities say they are searching about 2 square miles of Carter's Lake in the air and in the water to find Sean Cunningham. You're looking at video from some of the efforts that have been going on there. Right now, they're working around the clock to find clues that lead them to him. Fox 5 drone video captured some of the area authorities are searching in Murray and Gilmer counties. Authorities say the 37-year-old from Florida was last heard from late Tuesday night while taking cover from severe storms. Take a listen.
He talked to his friend that he indicated that he was under a dock taking shelter from some of those storms, and that he at some point had been on the lake during the storms and was having trouble paddling against those winds that were coming through with that storm.
So right now, authorities say Cunningham took off from the Woodring campground on Carter's Lake. DNR officials say Cunningham's backpack has been recovered, but there is no sign of his green canoe. Authorities ask anyone who may know where Cunningham is to give a call to Georgia DNR or to local law enforcement as soon as possible. So we are expecting a massive event to be taking place in the city of Atlanta. We know that rain's in the forecast, so we're not sure if it's going to be impacted by this. And this has to do with Formula One cars. It's called the Red Bull Showrun ATL. And Formula One cars are coming to the Summerhill neighborhood today as part of the Red Bull Showrun. But neighbors say the high-speed event poses big safety risks. The neighborhood voted it down twice, but city officials still approved the permit for the event. Roaring engines and burning rubber are coming to Hank Aaron Drive. Tens of thousands of fans will watch Formula One drivers show off their high-speed skills along a half-mile stretch of the road in the Summerhill neighborhood. And some residents say they are worried about the potential danger of the number of fans and high-speed cars in the neighborhood, as well as any damage it may cause. Councilman Michael Julian Bond sympathizes with residents, but he says if permits pass public safety checks, the city normally just approves them. Take a listen.
If we do not have a public safety concern or a legal concern, normally the permits are granted, meaning, having the adequate number of police officers to support it and whatever other EMS services that might be required.
And so MARTA says it has requested reimbursement for any rerouting needing to be done from the road closure, as well as construction delays, customer communication, and damage, because we know that is where the new bus rapid transit line for MARTA is located on Hank Aaron Drive, so they're having to reroute that BRT line. It obviously is going to be a big draw for a lot of folks because it is a free event in that area. Unfortunately, we know that the rain is going to possibly impact this, so we're obviously going to be monitoring that throughout the day, but we are expecting folks to be out there for this big event. And I want to tell you about a big event that is not happening this year. We learned yesterday that the nation's largest Black-owned music festival, it won't be happening this year. Organizers of One Music Fest announced they are officially pausing the festival for 2026, promising to return in 2027 with a completely reimagined experience. The prominent music festival honoring Black culture and music has been taking place for the past 16 years, welcoming over 100,000 fans each year. The festival built its reputation on bringing together artists across different genres and generations, serving as an annual cultural homecoming in the city of Atlanta. In a statement released to fans, festival organizers emphasized that the decision to skip 2026 is a strategic move to innovate rather than a sign of trouble. Organizers stated the pause would allow them an opportunity to form new partnerships and more experiences featuring music, culture, technology, and community. And organizers released a statement on social media emphasizing that the festival is not going away but entering a new era. It said in part, quote, "This is not an ending. It is an opportunity to build the next chapter of One Music Fest with the same bold vision that has guided us since day one." It went on to say, "We are not interested in simply repeating what we've already built. We're focused on creating what's next." And I want to also mention this. If you are on the west side of Atlanta, 285, well, we have been telling you for months that there is going to be different road closures over the course of several years as they essentially rebuild part of I-285. Well, the planned closure for this weekend is not happening, and that's because of concerns about the weather. Originally, GDOT said the interstate would close between Cascade Road and MLK Jr. Drive all weekend. That work would have started Friday night, but the closure was pushed back due to possible inclement weather. And GDOT says there will be another 285 shutdown in Fulton and Cobb counties starting on August 7th. And if you've looked at a calendar recently, you would know that is next weekend, so just be aware of that. They postponed it this weekend, but they're going to be closing I-285 next weekend for the same road work that they were not able to complete this weekend because of the storms. But I've talked to GDOT in the past. We've talked to them right here on Fox 5 News Live. They have mentioned to us that this is going to be happening dozens of times over the course of the next several years as they work to rebuild a huge stretch of roadway on 285 on the west side, which they say has been neglected for years, and they just need to make sure it's up to par, as that is one of the busiest portions of 285 in our area. Well, the time right now is 9:13 on this Saturday morning. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll be talking about back to school when we come back. welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Saturday morning. We are approaching 9:16. We're so glad you're here. I'm Tyler Fingert. I'll be joining you for the next about 3 hours as we talk about the news and the headlines. And one of the big things we are focusing on right now has to do with back to school. Take a look at this. We're going to take it full just because of the way the graphic comes on out. So this is who is returning to school on August 3rd, so on Monday. Look at that. All of the locations in dark red, that's pretty much probably about a third of all counties in our area are returning to school starting on Monday. Some have already went back to class, but a big portion go back on Monday. You can see the city of Atlanta, Cherokee County, Clayton County, Cobb County, Decatur City, DeKalb, Fulton, pretty much a good portion of our area, a lot of the places that have the most students. And people heading back to school are having to prepare with school supplies. And unfortunately, we know that over the course of the last about year or so, we've seen the cost of school supplies increase. But that obviously is not helpful for parents. And according to the National Retail Federation, K through 12 shoppers plan to spend on average about $290 on electronics, followed by $250 on clothing and accessories, $174 on shoes, and $164 on supplies. And while a new analysis by Groundwork Collaborative found families will spend nearly 11% more than just last year, lunchboxes are up 27%, for instance, notebooks up 23%, index cards a whopping 22%. Researchers say higher tariffs on imported supplies alongside rising shipping and energy costs are driving the price hikes, but experts say to get the best deals, you need to start early. Unfortunately, though, we kind of already passed the starting early since schools are heading back right now. And we know thousands of people are heading back to school, and there are big events. And one of the big school districts that are heading back on Monday is the Atlanta Public School System, and they're holding a massive back-to-school bash. My good friend, Kim Leffler, joins us live from downtown Atlanta at the Georgia World Congress Center. I see a bus. We know they're going to be back on the road starting Monday. What's going on at the Georgia World Congress Center? I can hear a lot of noise behind you. They're expecting thousands of people there today.
Yeah, Tyler, good morning. The superintendent actually just wrapped up speaking here in the last few minutes. This all kicked off at 9 o'clock. So let me give you a look at what I am seeing. I'm going to flip this around. So right here we have an area set up where students are able to come and get a backpack and some school supplies there as well. There are several vendors set up. This is a really large hall here, the Georgia World Congress Center. So you got several different vendors here for students to check out. Now 10,000 Atlanta Public School students is what they're expecting to come here today for this event. This is an annual event that they hold here every single year, and they say that this year they're hoping, or going into this year, the school district will begin with less than 5 teacher vacancies, and every school bus route covered is going to be covered by a driver, and that's going to be building on the momentum they had last year, including a 90% teacher retention rate and 60% of students taking advanced placement courses. Just some of what they're hoping to continue to grow on this year. Now, we are going to be talking with the superintendent here in just a little bit, but you can see how many people are already out here this morning. This event is going to be going on until 1 o'clock. And again, we're going to be catching up with the superintendent here momentarily, and we will, of course, keep you updated throughout the morning. Tyler.
Yeah, Kim, that place is packed. It's always a big event every year, and we'll check in with you in just about an hour to hear from the superintendent himself and just all the activities that are going on there. Kim, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We'll see you soon. And let's take you to DeKalb County now. There's another, I guess, back-to-school bash happening there where New Birth Missionary Baptist Church is helping people in the community. They're giving out school supplies, they're giving out food, and Maria Guzman is live there this morning with the details on the event out there at New Birth Missionary Baptist. What can you tell us, Maria? Good morning to you.
Hey, Tyler, good morning. Well, this event just kicked up about 20 minutes ago, but let me tell you, the first car that they served here and helped, they came here last night at 9:30 p.m. and that lady inside was the first person they helped. But I'm going to go ahead and show you around because they have a really neat operation here on how they're making this all work. I mean, here we have the cars, we have all the volunteers, we have the fresh produce and the school supplies. And I also want to introduce you here to Dr. Bryant here, who's going to talk to us more about this really big outreach. What really led the church to say, you know, we want to do not a one-day event, but a 2-day back-to-school event to help our families and students?
We opened the King's Table during COVID when things were shut down and people were really dealing with food insecurity in a pronounced way. COVID was over, but the crisis was not. And so every first and third Saturday, we are here blessing about 1,000 cars who come through our parking lot, being able to help them make ends meet.
You know, with back to school right now in season, what do you hear from families in your church or around the community? Are they saying that they're having a struggle, you know, just trying to buy those school supplies?
Yeah, this is a breath of fresh air. What you are seeing overwhelmingly is working families. America's the only place in the world where you can work 40 hours a week and still not have enough to make ends meet. And so we're grateful that we're able to give a sigh of relief because you've got teachers here, you've got people who work for airlines, people who work in the private sector, but just need a little extra help and love to get through the week.
You know, just walk me through just one of the many things you guys are giving out today, because I think it's really special that it's not only back to school supply, but I see a lot of grocery items.
Yeah, it's so important that they have fresh produce and vegetation and fruit, especially while there's a vegetation crisis in the nation, where it is that they can get fresh vegetation and there's no threat of pesticides to know that it's healthy for the body. We don't want to just fill the body, we want to fuel the body so that students are able to be energized and focused for the school year.
Walk me through the reaction of the families as they get the bag of fresh produce, those school supplies. Do you see a sense of relief?
It's an overwhelming sense of relief. You don't have to be a member. You just have to be a part of the community. And so people are seeing the church come alive, the love of Christ come alive. And so what we do out here is just as important as what we do in the sanctuary.
So this is the event today, but tomorrow the fun, the help is going to continue. So just tell me about tomorrow's outreach also.
Tomorrow we have 100 principals from around DeKalb County coming. We want to love on them, pray for them. We're going to pray for teachers in this area as well as push our students, and we're going to be giving out professional supplies because a lot of teachers are spending out of pocket just to decorate their classrooms.
Awesome. Then until what time are you guys going to be doing this? And also just how many volunteers? There's a lot of people around the campus here helping.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. I'm grateful for our volunteers. We have over 220 volunteers who have shown up on today. We're giving out school supplies, and more than that, we're giving out the love of Christ and reminding people what community is supposed to look like.
Okay. If anybody is watching this and they want to come here and drive, are they still able to?
They're able to get here while supplies last. We opened at 9, but we'll be here until the last box is given out.
All right, so you guys hear that until supplies last. The first car again got here last night at 9:30 p.m. So that's pretty amazing, but it also shows you the big need here in DeKalb County. Tyler.
Yeah, New Birth is a massive church. It's so nice that they're able to do things like this. Out of curiosity, how are they able to fund all of this? This costs a lot of money to be able to do this every single back to school season to be able to help people in the community.
Yeah, I'll ask the pastor right now. I know one way is through donation. How are you guys able to fund all these items that you are providing to the families?
We're so grateful for partners and for people in the community who have seen the impact. Those who wanted to donate can do so on our website, newbirth.org, and go to the King's Table.
So there you go. Many hands make this possible to serve the greater Atlanta area.
Maria, thanks so much for a look at that. We're going to be checking in with you throughout the morning, and we'll see you in just about an hour as more and more folks show up there in DeKalb County to be able to take advantage of that massive giveaway. Maria, thanks so much. Let's tell you about this story. So in Marietta, we know back to school season is here. Well, they also want to make sure that the employees for the school system, including the bus drivers, are ready. So Fox 5 got to see the training Marietta City Schools is using to prepare drivers for emergencies. 114 Marietta City Schools bus drivers got an up-close look at what happens when a bus catches fire. They watched as the bus filled with smoke and saw the flames coming through the windows. Marietta City Schools worked with the fire department, the Department of Public Safety, and the Department of Education to deliberately set an old school bus on fire to point out how quickly flames can spread and emphasize the importance of emergency evacuations. Let's talk about this now. And as students get ready to head back to school, most won't be allowed to have their cell phones. So under Georgia's Distraction-Free Education Act, kindergarten through 8th graders can't have phones starting this school year. And next school year, phones will be banned in all Georgia high schools. Some schools, like Marietta City Schools, already have a phone policy in place, and Superintendent Grant Rivera says they're focusing on finding the right balance with screen time when it comes to artificial intelligence. They also realize students are using it, so they want to make sure it is used appropriately.
So Marietta City Schools purchased a resource called Magic School. Magic School allows students to have access to a closed AI environment where we can control whether or not what they access and how they access it. And quite candidly, it's not going to write a paper for you, but it might support you in writing an outline.
So Rivera says they want to understand what kids learn, not what AI can tell them. He also says the relationship between teachers and students is more important than technology. Let's see if we can take a live look right now on one of our shots. We just are getting into the newsroom from one of our photojournalists. You are taking a look in Decatur. So this is where people are lining up to be able to get free gas. So here's what we know. Families are there for a community event, and this is obviously aimed to be able to help people ease the financial pressure of the back-to-school season. It's called the Gas on God giveaway, and it's providing $10,000 worth of free gasoline on a first-come, first-served basis. So you can see a lot of organizers there, police are there, and so they're handing out backpacks filled with school supplies to help students head back to the classroom for the new school year. The event is a partnership between Generation of God Church Atlanta, Stuart Miller Simmons Trial Attorneys, and HBCU Change. You can see it looks like some folks may be lining up as well to be able to take advantage of all of this. And organizers say the goal here is to support families facing rising costs by helping with two major expenses: back to school supplies and fuel. And you can just see there are some people already there hoping to take advantage of this free gas giveaway and also school supplies. The time now is 9:28 on this Saturday morning. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we're going to talk about the weather in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Saturday morning. The time now is 9:30. I want to give you a live look outside. We are expecting a stormy Saturday this afternoon. You're looking live at Lake Lanier. Probably by mid-afternoon, this is not going to be the place to be, especially since parts of our area are going to start seeing the storms start to roll through. I know when I came to work at about 6 a.m. this morning, I noticed some rain and drizzling on my windshield, and that is just kind of the beginning of what we're going to see throughout the rest of the day. Let's get a check at the forecast once again with my good friend Alex Forbes.
So, I think the headline today is that it's not just going to storm once at your house. It could storm multiple times, or it could be once if you are one of the lucky few across the metro area. Saw some rain this morning, as Tyler alluded to, and now the first real wave, in my opinion, is beginning to take shape and roll into metro Atlanta and North Georgia. So I've got the radar. Well, actually, let me flip this back to Peachtree City first. You can see back off in towards Taliaferro County, getting over towards McDuffie County now. Good storm there south of Thompson. That's rolling into the Augusta area, and that's about it for that. Now, go up here into northwest Georgia. I'm going to flip the radar back to where I had it, which is actually based out of Huntsville, because you can see a little lower to the ground. Obviously, this is not crazy, right? Yeah, just a couple of showers in northwest Georgia, but as you find your way down into the Birmingham area, you pick up the intensity a little bit. So let me flip this over to the Birmingham radar now. In and around Anniston, that's going to be just on the other side of Pell City and Talladega, crossing in towards Cleburne County. Some heavier showers. Notice you are getting some lightning strikes out of this. I would say about an hour ago, that storm was stronger, right? Let's back that up to about right in there. Right there, 8:07 this morning, right? You're getting some of the pinks down near Alex City, up near Goodwater, and even an uptick in the lightning. And when you advance that to now, yeah, just not quite as strong, which, look, we'll take, right? And then the main fronts, you can kind of see that taking shape across the Huntsville area and over back in towards Mississippi. It's going to be that general spot today where we're going to be looking for storms to really get going. Let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center map. This will be updated here in short order, but you can see northwest Georgia, Dalton, Lafayette, Ringgold, Fort Oglethorpe, Trenton, Somerville, even parts of Floyd County and the Coosa River included in a slight risk. And then a level 1 does extend back down into the metro. But Tyler, I mentioned earlier, right? I don't want you to look at this map and say, all right, Kennesaw, you've got a severe weather threat today, but Snellville, you're fine. I would say that this line right here is kind of fuzzy, if you will, in terms of where that will actually set up. And it's worth noting as we look at this today that this is a wind-driven risk area. Notice how those two line up exactly. There's your normal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then your wind. Here's the tornado risk today, and you're going to notice that is entirely north of Georgia. It does come down like right into Chattanooga, but it does stop short of the Georgia state line and continues up towards the north. So tornadoes today, I think it's going to be more of a Tennessee and Kentucky thing than for us. So that's the lay of the land right now. We're going to talk about the forecast into the back-to-school week coming up here in about 30 minutes.
Sounds good. We'll see you, Alex. Thanks so much. As we know, coming from Alabama, going to be moving in. You can see it there. We'll be monitoring the airport, and you'll be keeping everyone up to date right here on Fox 5 News Live at throughout the morning on Fox Local and also all of our social media platforms. I appreciate it. Let's talk about some of the wildfires that we are seeing out in Europe and take you international for a moment to get you caught up on the deadly fires there, which are burning in multiple countries. More than 300,000 people have been evacuated from villages and vacation areas in France and Spain. Some scientists are pointing to human-caused climate change for creating the hot, dry conditions which we have been seeing in Europe that have contributed to these wildfires. A report from the World Weather Attribution says the conditions increase the chances of Spain having a fire by 20 times. And the research also found climate change doubled the likelihood of extreme fire conditions in France. Scientists say they calculated the numbers while the fires were still burning. The same report says in just the past 26 years, global warming tripled the odds of the severe fire risk conditions in Spain and increased the chances of devastating fires in France by 40%. And we know that there are some areas there, including where some celebrities live, that they've actually had to be evacuated, and their vacation homes or their homes have had to leave. They've had to leave them just because of how bad these fires are. I want to get you caught up on the cyclospora outbreak, which unfortunately is being blamed on tainted lettuce from Mexico, and unfortunately it is getting worse. The CDC says there are now up to 18,000 cases in 45 states, mostly centered in the Midwest. arrest, and there have been more than 400 hospitalizations. And while that number is expected to climb, there have been no deaths so far. Health officials also linked the cyclospora to iceberg lettuce supplied by Taylor Farms to Taco Bell. It led to a recall, but some experts say it wasn't fast enough to stop the spread. And I want to mention this: the fast food chain cites low sales during the cyclospora outbreak, but it is optimistic going forward. Yum Brands, the parent company of Taco Bell, revealed its quarterly earnings report earlier this week, and that report showed that sales fell off about 2% to date through July 27th. Yum Brands says the biggest decline in sales occurred over the weekend of July 18th, around the time the cyclospora was detected in the restaurant's lettuce. The company quickly acted to replace the contaminated lettuce and remove it from its supply, which had been traced to that lettuce, as I mentioned, from a Taylor Farms of Mexico operation. The popular Mexican-style fast food chain says sales are beginning to show a rebound, claiming average sales are halfway back to the levels they were last year. And I also want to mention this: today is the big anniversary, 6 months now since Nancy Guthrie disappeared, and unfortunately there is still no sign of the 84-year-old or answers about who took her. Still, Piedmont County Sheriff Chris Nano says investigators continue to follow every credible lead. On Thursday, he announced a hair sample recovered from inside Nancy Guthrie's home did not point to a suspect, and now multiple labs are trying to untangle a mixed DNA sample from as many as 4 people. But months into the search, there are growing concerns over how the case has been handled. FBI Director Kash Patel previously criticized local law enforcement, accusing them of initially shutting down federal investigators, something the sheriff has denied. In a new video this week, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie appealed to her mother's potential captors, asking them to do the right thing. Take a listen to part of what she had to say.
It has been months since our mom was taken from us. Our family is in agony. We are in a nightmare that will not end. Nothing about our situation has changed. We have done our part, and we will never stop looking for her.
So we know yesterday that investigators in Arizona released 2 of those ransom notes that were sent to different agencies, news outlets in the Tucson area. They released them. They obviously blacked out the name of the person who sent it along with the email address. But that was the first time that we've actually seen those ransom notes. And all of this comes 6 months after Nancy Guthrie disappeared. We should mention the family is offering $1 million reward for information leading to her recovery. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live on this Saturday morning. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We're back after that. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Saturday morning. It was a busy week in the Barrow County courtrooms because this week we had Colt Gray, the Appalachia High School mass shooter, sentenced. We had his father, Colin Gray, sentenced as well. We're going to start with Colin Gray. He's the father of the accused, not the accused anymore because he pled guilty, but the father of the Appalachia High School mass shooter. And so on Thursday, a Barrow County judge sentenced the father to for his role in the deadly shooting, and Colin Gray was sentenced to 15 years behind bars. I want you to take a listen to what the judge had to say as he handed down the sentence.
It is clear you failed as a parent. You did not provide a stable household. You did not have things in check with Marcy's issues and what the kids were being exposed to. You did not have Colt in activities that a boy should be in where he's making connections with other children in person, where he feels loved, where he feels accepted. You didn't monitor what was going on with him in the computer. You didn't have him in school. He was in your care his entire 8th grade year, and he didn't go to school. And what did he do each of those days he should have been in school? He watched and rewatched the school shooting trial of Nicholas Cruz. He fell deeper and deeper into this obsession when he should have been in school every day. And that was a failure on your part. You didn't get him mental health counseling when it was obvious he needed some. None of those failures helped your case, but those aren't why you were convicted. You were convicted because the warning lights were flashing brighter and brighter, and you didn't get him help, and you didn't remove his access to the guns. I recognize that no parent believes that their child is capable of committing a heinous crime. No parent thinks that their child is going to be the next school shooter. But it became more and more obvious that something bad was going to happen. At a minimum, you should have believed that Colt would commit suicide. And you failed to do the simplest things to prevent this. You had gun locks, and you didn't use them. You could have got $100-something safe and put the guns in the safe. If you had done that, you wouldn't be here today. You could have removed the ammo and the magazines from the house, and if you'd done that, you wouldn't be here today. You could have let someone else hold the guns while you got Colt help. If you'd done that, you wouldn't be here today. If you had done any of those things, Miss Yeremy, Mr. Aspinwall, Mason, Christian would be here today. And your negligence didn't arise in an instant. It was repeated day after day. The entire first month of school was an opportunity to remove the guns to get Colt help. And you failed. Again, sentencing for negligence is very difficult because there's not an intention to commit a crime. None of the crimes that you're convicted of require mandatory prison. And as I mentioned, the weight of your crimes is tethered and tied to the acts of someone else, your son. Two scenarios. You fail the same way in both. You fail to get Colt counseling. You fail to remove the guns from the house. In the one scenario, Colt changes his mind, doesn't go through with it. You're not charged with any crime at all. your very same failures, Colt goes through with it as he did, commits the atrocity, and the state's asking for 80 years confinement for you. But your actions are identical in each of those scenarios. My heart aches for everyone that was there that day, for all of you that have been impacted by it. But the law requires that I set aside emotion. I don't get to sentence with passion. I have the nearly impossible task of sentencing you without passion, despite the immeasurable heartache that you've caused.
This is the first time in Georgia history that a parent has been convicted and then eventually sentenced for something their child did. This only has happened one other time in the United States, up in Michigan, and that was obviously a big conversation because that was a completely novel case using these types of charges to be able to go after a parent for not stopping what happened. And so I spoke to a legal analyst, Joshua Schiffer. He talks to us all the time about the sentencing of Colin Gray and how much time he was spending behind bars and what he was sentenced to. I want you to listen to what he shared with me.
Very balanced approach, and how Judge Prim was so specific in setting out what his considerations were in much regards for the public's use and knowledge, because you highlight the intent issue, which is something that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to criminal law and especially sentencing. In fact, Georgia has the felony murder rule, which is a mandatory life sentence regardless of intent to commit a death. Judge Prim was very careful in choosing his words, highlighting that Mr. Gray had no priors. Mr. Gray's convictions were all related to these non-intent crimes. There was no mens rea, is the Latin phrase that the lawyers are going to talk to you about, but it means, did you intend to do something that caused this? It's pretty easy to say, I wanted to kill that guy, I wanted to steal that thing, I wanted to sell that drug or steal that money. None of that was present in the crimes that Mr. Gray was convicted of. Mr. Gray's convictions were related to his failure to act, his inability to tell the future as to what his son was going to do, and the judge clearly put a lot of weight on that when determining the sentence. I think that this is a generous sentence, in my opinion, and I believe we're going to hear a lot of commentary, especially from the families in the community, about how this was not a strong enough message. But again, that's going to be up for the community to deal with here over the next couple of years as Mr. Gray serves this sentence, of which I expect him to serve probably 80% or more of before there's a potential release.
So I'm going through the comments right now on our TikTok channel, and someone's mentioning, why aren't parents of the teen takeovers being arrested? So that's obviously a good question. Let me just lose our lower third here for a moment. So at this point, the way I understand it is a lot more district attorneys and different folks who are charging crimes in Georgia, they have the ability to be able to charge parents when they do stuff, technically. But obviously, in the case of Colin Gray, we're going to probably see this go through the court systems and have appeals, and they're going to fight this because this is the first time in Georgia that they've actually done this. And so that's maybe why DAs and district attorneys and all of the folks, the police departments, don't normally arrest parents for doing something in our state, because at this point, there's no precedent that shows it is allowed. I mean, obviously, if Colin Gray's sentence stands and the high court here in Georgia decides not to act and say that everything was done fine, then essentially, yeah, that does open the doors. And that's what I've been talking about with our legal analyst over the course of the last several weeks, is we were expecting this to unfold. But I also want to emphasize that it just has to depend on how things unfold in the court system. So he has been sentenced, he has been convicted, but obviously we know appeals processes are going to play out. I also want to talk about Colt Gray, so his son. son. He was also sentenced on Tuesday of this week, so a few days before him, and he received one of the harshest sentences possible for the gunman who, for essentially mass murder. It was a lengthy sentencing hearing which lasted 3 days. He eventually learned that he is going to spend the rest of his life in prison without parole. I want you to take a listen to what the judge told him during the sentencing hearing on Tuesday.
All right, we are all present. Never before have I had to sentence a 16-year-old. Certainly for something someone did when they were 14 years of age. Those who appear regularly in front of me have often heard me lament about the difficulty in sending a young person to prison. And here, as everyone understands, the minimum sentence is life with parole. Now, the appellate courts have said that children are constitutionally different from adults for purposes of sentencing. That stems from an understanding that juveniles aren't fully formed cognitively. Hallmark features of a juvenile include immaturity, impulsivity, recklessness, and a failure to appreciate risk and consequences. Because of these factors, the Supreme Court says that the Eighth Amendment prohibits the death penalty for juveniles. The Supreme Court also disfavors life without parole for juveniles, declaring it to be a constitutionally forbidden, disproportionate sentence in all but the rarest of cases. Life without parole is thus authorized only for youthful crimes reflecting permanent incorrigibility. Life without parole is barred for crimes that are born out of a transient immaturity of youth. Now, I recognize that with your guilty plea, you've assumed responsibility for your crimes. You have made a lengthy and public trial unnecessary. I also recognize that you were failed by each of your parents. You were failed by your extended family. To a certain extent, you've been failed by a society that can't stop propagating this misguided value in online cultures and social media, rather than making genuine interpersonal connections and relationships. But that failure does not absolve you from who you chose to idolize, worship, and become. 4 lives were stolen, 2 of them really just beginning, and it wasn't done out of fear or anger. You weren't being bullied at Appalachia. It wasn't done out of hatred. You didn't even know anyone at that school. It was done for the infamy of it. Now, your childhood instability and neglect would explain or mitigate finding yourself in one of those problematic places that Dr. Richards testified about. But planning, fantasizing about, visualizing, and executing school shooting don't put you in a problematic place. It puts you in an unredeemable moral wasteland. Your crimes do reflect permanent incorrigibility, and I will sentence you to life without parole for each of the malice murders that you committed. You understood the horror of what you were going to do. You studied the trials of those other shooters. You even critiqued the victim statements given in those cases, and yet you did this anyway. You wrote, "I want to make history. I want people to remember the pain I caused." And there you succeeded. The pain that you visited upon this community is unlikely to disappear in my lifetime. You do not seem to be tormented by what you did. You seem to relish following in the footsteps of the murderers you idolize. You aren't racked with guilt. You're proud of yourself. Less than a month after the tragedy, you weren't concerned with the horror you wrought, but rather with finding out which mass murderers they were comparing you to. A youth may fail to consider the harm his rash actions inflict before acting, but you did consider it. You studied that pain when you researched the trials of your profane idols. You contemplated that pain over and over. This wasn't transient immaturity. It was deliberate, contemplated evil. You are all too aware of the court outcome of those mass shootings because you studied and obsessed over them. You know that the Aurora Theater shooter received life without parole. Nicholas Cruz received life without parole. Ethan Crumley, a juvenile, received life without parole. Yet you were not dissuaded. Your plan was not hastily hatched. It was a slow boil simmering more than a year's time. You savored the thought of it, you visualized it, and you fantasized about it. You broke it down step by step in visualizing what you were going to do. The thought of mimicking these other mass murders is what brought you joy. Now, for the rest of us, there is no joy here today. There's only a measure of closure. The slain will not return to life, the injured will not forget their wounds, and a 16-year-old boy will live and die in prison. You have certain post-appellate...
Boy will live and die in prison. That was the last quote that Judge Nicholas Prim, the chief judge in Barrow County, said as he sentenced Colt Gray, you're looking at right there, to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It is essentially the harshest sentence he is able to give a juvenile. He committed this crime when he was 14 years old. He now is 16 years old. He will spend every waking moment until he dies behind bars unless he is able to somehow convince that the sentence was too harsh for him during an appeals process, because he obviously does have that right, but he did plead guilty, so there's a lot less of an opportunity there. Just minutes after the judge handed down the sentence there, Barrow County District Attorney Brad Smith essentially said that this is going to be able to help with the community healing and warning parents about dangerous online subcultures. This is closing a chapter nearly 2 years in the making after that deadly Appalachia High School shooting. 4 people killed, 2 students, 2 teachers, 9 others wounded at Appalachia High School on September 4th, 2024. We are obviously going to stay on top of that and bring you details as they come into our newsroom, continuing updates as we get them. We still have a lot more ahead for Fox 5 News Live at 10 a.m. We're going to get a check of the forecast. I know a lot of you guys are joining us this morning, probably wondering what the weather's looking like. You're looking at live Viper radar right now. The storm's out in Alabama. I can tell you, based off what I've heard from our Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes, they're heading our way. We'll get an updated forecast in just 2 minutes. Here we go at 10 a.m. on this Saturday morning. I'm Tyler Finger. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live. It is a busy Saturday morning. I just want to mention we are live streaming on Fox Local and all of our social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And just looking at over our numbers, we have thousands of people joining us this morning. And I can tell you it's probably because of the weather that we are expecting throughout the day here. You're taking a live look right now at the Atlanta skyline. It doesn't look as beautiful as it has the last few days, where we had clear skies for the most part. It was obviously a little warm the last few days, but definitely a lot more cloud cover than we have seen in recent days, and that is kind of a sign of what is to come. Let's get a check of the forecast once again at 10 a.m. with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes. We're checking in with you every half hour because we know this is, while it's not a storm alert day for Fox 5, it's definitely a day to be weather aware.
Exactly, and it's one of these days where I think the difference from a normal summer type day is that it storms at your house once and that's it. We're going to be looking at multiple waves of storms here through the weekend. It's nothing crazy. We're not doing, like most people aren't even in a level 2 severe weather risk, but it is going to be impactful, particularly with it being the last weekend before kids head back to school in Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. 78 in Atlanta right now, 75 in Covington, 81 in Eatonton, already to 81 in Thomaston as well. There's this morning's rain. That's what rolled through parts of Paulding County, Pike, Lamar, Upson, Henry counties. That's now moving over into the Augusta area. Now we turn our attention off to the northwest. We've seen some showers in northwest Georgia, but within the last 30 minutes, areas south of Huntsville have seen a storm begin to get going with a couple of lightning strikes in it. And then likewise down into Anniston, moving into Cleburne County, Randolph County, Wedowee, and down towards the Auburn area, picking up on some of the heavier rainfall, but still not a whole lot of lightning just yet. However, it's 10 in the morning. It's 9 in the morning out in Alabama. So this is just the beginning today of showers and storms. Looking at 82 by the time we get towards 2 p.m. and then 79 by the time we get towards 6 p.m. So a high temperature in the 80s. Now, we're talking about the rain. We are also going to have a storm, a flash flood risk here through the afternoon. And that is going to be not only for us here in Georgia, but across the southeast as you look at the Gulf flow really taking hold. And that is going to obviously create the rain chances, but also drive any flooding risk that we have today. Now, here's the million-dollar question: is where does the front stall in the hours to come? It is going to stall. The question is it Metro Atlanta or is it points off to the east? If it's Metro Atlanta, that would be an increased rain chance for Sunday. So I've got the rain chance at 40% right now, and the reason why is because I am expecting it to stall off to the east. However, if it's any further west, that would change. The eastern solution is favored by our high-resolution models, and the western solution is favored by our global models. So we will see who wins. I've got my money on the high-resolution ones. All right, there's your severe weather outlook for today. Again, clipped by level 2. We do have a level 1 extending back down in towards Marietta. But Tyler, I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to keep mentioning it, I don't want you to look at this map and see a harsh green line and say, severe weather in Canton, no severe weather in Athens. I think it's pretty equal playing field across the metro area today. Then for tomorrow, again, I don't want you to look at the harsh line. I would just know that any of the storms we do see could be strong. All right, so there you go this afternoon. Getting some of the pinks. Even if I zoom in, we might get some blacks in there, right? Like that's some notable stuff. Don't want you to pay attention to the exact location either, just kind of the pattern, if you will, across the metro area. And that fact that this Barron model is one of the high resolution ones, you do get that line of storms fairly strong later on this evening, but then you also get the front stalling off to the east, which is why tomorrow you see the bulk of the activity focused over near the Savannah River. All right, so your rain chance today is up to 90%, 40% for Sunday, 40% there on Monday. As we look at the bus stop forecast there for Monday, showers and storms. Look, I'm still not okay with the schools going back the first week of August, but it's not up to me. But, Mother Nature, as far as she is concerned, it is still summertime, highs in the 80s, daily chance of showers and storms, might even be pushing 90 Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
So we just sent a push alert to tell people about that we were on right now on Fox Local. Give a big headline. We got a big spike just in the last about a minute or so joining us based off the numbers I can see off the side. Big
TLDR.
Headline. Yes, TLDR.
TLDR, it might storm at your house multiple times today. It might storm at your house once today. Regardless, I expect most people will see rain. This is not the summertime pattern. Okay. This is a cold front coming through, but for back to school week, the summertime pattern will be in full swing.
Well, We'll check in with you in just about a half hour for the latest timing as these new models continue to come in. You're constantly looking at it. We'll see you in a few minutes, Alex. Thanks so much. Let's get you caught up on some of the headlines we're following right now, and this is one that broke late last night. We found out that police have arrested a 17-year-old suspect in connection with a deadly shooting at Piedmont Park during a 404-day celebration. So that was a few months ago. Kane Burnett turned himself in at the Fulton County Jail last night, and investigators say Burnett is 17. The 16-year-old Tiana Robinson was killed in the April 4th shooting, and Burnett is charged with reckless conduct, possession of a pistol by a person under the age of 18, and discharging a weapon near a public street. And you may be watching this right now, full screen. This was video from when all of this unfolded. I will mention we do not have the suspect's mugshot yet, but we are actively working to get that from the Fulton County Jail. Sometimes on weekends it can take a little bit longer to be able to get those in. So as soon as we get that, we'll of course bring that to you here on Fox 5 News Live. I will mention he was booked in yesterday. That could indicate he could have his first appearance before a judge today, and that would happen within the next hour. At the top of the hour at 11 is normally when those first appearances are held in Fulton County. We are also working to figure out if he is going to be appearing today. If he is, we will try to get you an update on if he does appear and if he is given a bond, considering he is 17 years old. I want to show you a picture that had me interested, and that's this one right here. Look at all of that cash, guys. There's also some weapons. There's also, it looks like, drugs there as well, but the cash is what has my attention. So this was a huge stash that was recovered in Athens. A multi-agency drug investigation ended with a man in handcuffs and the seizure of tens of thousands of dollars in cash. According to the Athens-Clarke County Police Department, authorities, including the Northeast Georgia Regional Task Force, recovered a trafficking quantity of fentanyl. Obviously, you know, fentanyl is that thing that can really kill you, just like a little gram can kill someone. They also recovered 4 firearms, 4 vehicles, and approximately $74,000 in cash. Authorities arrested Darren Turner. The Athens man faces multiple charges, including fentanyl trafficking and possession of firearms by a convicted felon. Let's take you to Hall County now. That is where these two guys are now in custody. They have been charged in connection to a drive-by shooting at a convenience store. Deputies have charged Travis White and Cooper Robinson with aggravated assault. It happened at the Stop by Food Mart on Dahlonega Highway. Authorities say the men went to the store to buy alcohol. The clerk refused the sale, which then led to an argument before the men left the business. Deputies say a woman also jumped into the argument in defense of the clerk. But what happened next is what now landed them with these nice little pretty mugshots here that you're looking at. Investigators say once in their car, the suspects grabbed a gun and then fired shots at the store. They're obviously now in custody. They are going to be facing charges for this as police try to also figure out, why they decided that gunfire was the appropriate course of action according to investigators. So we'll stay on top of that one. I also want to talk about this out of Paulding County. The coroner there says she will conduct what is called an inquest into the 2017 death of Heather Turner. So this is happening months after the sheriff's office closed the case. In May 2017, Turner's husband, Andy Turner, found her inside their home with a gunshot wound to her head. Well, this past February, the sheriff's office officially ruled the death a suicide. The coroner there in Paulding County said she was not included in several meetings with investigators earlier this year, and she says she is not prepared to support changing Turner's death certificate from undetermined to suicide. Well, she believes an inquest jury should hear sworn testimony about the death, and that would allow a jury to decide Turner's manner of death. The coroner says she will hold a news conference within 2 weeks to discuss the next steps in this investigation. I want to tell you about a case that right now is underway. A search is underway up in the northern part of our area in North Georgia. Multiple law enforcement agencies are working to find a missing man at Carter's Lake in North Georgia. And authorities say Sean Cunningham has been missing for several days now. And authorities say they are searching about a 2 square mile area of Carter's Lake in the air and in the water to find Sean Cunningham. Right now, they're working around the clock to find clues that lead to him. Fox 5 drone launched yesterday to capture some of the area authorities are searching in Murray and Gilmer counties. Authorities say the 37-year-old, who is from Florida, was last heard from late Tuesday night while taking cover from severe storms. Take a listen to what Georgia DNR told us.
Talked to his friend that he indicated that he was under a dock taking shelter from some of those storms, and that he at some point had been on the lake during the storms and was having trouble paddling against those winds that were coming through with that storm.
So obviously they are trying to track him down. If you know anything, law enforcement would love to hear from you. We should mention that Cunningham took off from the Wood Ring campground on Carter's Lake. DNR officials say Cunningham's backpack has been recovered, but there is no sign of his green canoe. Authorities are again asking anyone who might know anything to give them a call to Georgia DNR or to local law enforcement as soon as possible. Atlanta's having a big day, and that's because the Red Bull Show Run is supposed to take over Hank Aaron Drive. That is in the southwest Atlanta area, kind of near where Georgia State's stadium is, where they play football. So what is going to happen? Let me tell you. Formula One cars are coming to Summer Hill as part of the Red Bull Show Run. That's what it's called. But neighbors say the high-speed event poses big safety risks. The neighborhood voted it down twice, but city officials still approved the permit for the event. Roaring engines and burning rubber are coming to Hank Aaron Drive, and tens of thousands of fans are expected this afternoon to watch those drivers to show off their high-speed skills along a half-mile stretch of Hank Aaron Drive in the Summer Hill neighborhood. Some residents say they are worried about the potential of the number of fans and high-speed cars in their neighborhood, as well as any damage it might cause. So we talked to Councilman Michael Julian Bond, and while he sympathizes with residents, he says if permits pass public safety checks, the city normally has to approve them. Take a listen.
If we do not have a public safety concern or a legal concern, normally the permits are granted, meaning, having the adequate number of police officers to support it and whatever other EMS services that might be required.
So obviously this is going to be a huge event. Thousands of people are expected. MARTA is actually having to reroute some of their buses. Their new BRT line is actually having to divert for the day while this is all going on here. And MARTA says it has requested reimbursement for any rerouting needs to be done because of the road closure, as well as construction delays, customer communication, and damage. That event will begin today at 5. And I should mention, I was talking with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes at the top of our hour here at 10 a.m. And obviously we're going to be expecting storms to come through, so there's no sign or any word from organizers whether this thing could be postponed or called off completely. I want to tell you about a story that we got news of yesterday. An event has been canceled this year. We're going to talk about this now. It's One Music Fest, and organizers of One Music Fest announced they are officially pausing the festival for this year. But, and there's a big but, they are promising to return in 2027 with a completely reimagined experience. The Prominent Music Festival, honoring Black culture and music, has been taking place for the past 16 years, welcoming over 100,000 people each year. And the festival built its reputation on bringing together artists across different genres, generations, and serving as an annual cultural homecoming right in our great city of Atlanta. In a statement released to fans, organizers emphasized that the decision to skip the 2026 festival is a strategic move to innovate rather than a sign of trouble. In a statement, organizers said this is not an ending. It is an opportunity to build the next chapter of One Music Fest with the same bold vision that has guided us since day one. They went on to say, we are not interested in simply repeating what we've already built. We are focused on creating what is next. Let's come back into the newsroom on this Saturday morning. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 10 a.m. We're going to be talking about back to school. A lot of our area, including Atlanta, Fulton County, DeKalb, Gwinnett, they are all heading back to school next week, and there are some big events happening. We're going to get you caught up on what's going on today to make sure students are prepared for the school year ahead. We are back in just 2 minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Saturday morning. The time is 10:16. As I promised right before the break, we know it's back to school time and a lot of our area is heading back to class starting on Monday. Take a look at this map that our Alex Forbes put together. You can just see how many counties are heading back. That's the deep red on the map. So the darker red, those are the counties that head back to school on August 3rd. Some of the big ones include Atlanta City, so APS, Atlanta Public Schools. We have Cherokee County returning, Clayton County returning, Cobb County, DeKalb is returning, Gwinnett returns this coming week sometime. Obviously, lots of folks are just obviously getting ready for the big year ahead. And we know thousands of Atlanta Public School students are taking part in a back-to-school bash right now in the city of Atlanta. It's happening at the Georgia World Congress Center. My good friend Kim Leffler joins us once again. And Kim, you got to speak to the superintendent. I'm sure he's super excited for what's to come over the course of the next couple of months at APS schools.
Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. Good morning to you. As you mentioned, Atlanta Public Schools is going to be heading back on Monday. The superintendent says they are excited and ready to welcome all of the students this year. This event here just started about an hour ago at 9 o'clock. And I'm going to flip this around and give you a look at what we are seeing here at this hour. This has been one of the most popular spots. This is where students can come and get a free backpack filled with school supplies as well. But as you can see, there are several different booths set up all through this hall here for students to come and check out. There are thousands of students here right now. And so some things that kids are able to do here, they have fun activities and games, student performances. We saw a really good marching band here a little bit earlier, giveaways and meal samples from the Atlanta Public Schools nutrition department. But I did catch up with the superintendent moments ago. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We're excited to see students back. Our teams have been working really hard over the last couple of months to make sure we're prepared for day one. We have 0 teacher vacancies. Our average teacher experience is about 14 years, and so we're excited about our teaching force, our leaders, our staff, everybody. Bus routes are covered, so we're just excited to see students back, and we're ready. Our board has leaned in. You know, I don't know anything's different. Our strategic plan speaks to back to basics, and so a lot is not changing. Our work right now is getting better at what we do every single day, and so literacy will continue to be a focus. You'll see us really doubling down. Our board this summer did a ton of work around value, screen value, and making sure that as we use technology, we're using it in meaningful ways. And so for us, it's getting a step better every single year, every single day on behalf of students.
And so as you heard the superintendent mention they're beginning this year with less than 5 teacher vacancies, and every school bus route is going to be covered by a driver. So certainly a very big year for Atlanta Public Schools. They're going to be heading back, as I mentioned, on Monday. And of course, we are going to be there bright and early with the kids on Monday, keeping you updated as well. Tyler?
So Kim, what kind of things are being handed out there? I heard there's some giveaways for school supplies. We know how expensive those can be for the thousands of students and their parents coming on out there. What are they able to grab?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll walk you back over that way so you can see, let me get this back here, so you can see a little bit of what they have. So I noticed there's notebooks, some looks like some pencils that are in there as well. You see this woman has one of those supply kits right now. But yeah, certainly school supplies very expensive, so a lot of the families are making sure they get over here. They also have these little Chick-fil-A handouts as well, which is pretty fun for the kids. So a lot of good giveaways here. I've seen a lot of different things from different dance classes that are available to, I just saw the Cub Scouts over there. So really it's a little bit of everything for kids here. And I know that this is going to be going on until 1 o'clock, so still time for people who have registered to get out here and make sure you grab some of these free supplies and also just take in everything that they have to offer here.
Kim, this is a big event every single year. I'm so glad that APS is able to make this possible, to be able to help out their students and get everyone excited for the upcoming school year. Kim Leffler in downtown Atlanta, thanks so much for joining us. We'll check in with you in just about an hour. And speaking of back to school, let's take you to DeKalb County now. A local church is helping make sure students have the supplies they need, and they're also giving out food. And Maria Guzman joins us live from Stonecrest and New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, holding a big back to school giveaway. Hey Maria, good morning to you once again.
Hey, Tyler, you know, when we spoke earlier, I showed you all the groceries that they are giving out to families as well as the school supplies for students. Well, that's happening outside. They're calling that the King's Table, but I'm inside here. And they call this the King's Court. So basically, it's kind of like a grab and go. So families are able to come here, grab any diapers, any clothing that kids might need for the first day of school that's coming up on Monday. So I'm going to go ahead and show you around because it is a full house here. And I'm really impressed by all the items that families are able to come here and grab for their homes and also for their children. Just going to show you guys the long line. Again, this is all free, so they're able to grab anything from like water bottles. I saw some diapers over there in the back, a lot of clothing for children as well. So with me here, I do have Pastor Carla. You lead a lot of these outreaches in which I'm so impressed by because you guys do a lot in just one day today. So just walk me through this outreach right here. And it just so happened to fall the same day as the school supplies and groceries giveaway.
Yes. So the King's Table is the nonprofit organization of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. And we are excited to give to our community. We are here every first and third Saturday giving out food. But on the first Saturday, today, we're able to give household essentials as well.
What really led you guys to say, you know, we're going to do the back to school event and also make sure that our families are well equipped at home as well?
Well, it's our back to school weekend. And so we are just doing it Saturday and Sunday, making sure that everybody has what they need. We wanted to do the food, of course, but add on some school supplies for our students, backpacks and pens and pencils and notebooks and all of those good things. And then tomorrow, we're also going to give some things to principals from DeKalb County. So we wanted to make sure that we are a full service church serving our community in every way that God gives it to us.
I know you're very involved in the community. So what's the big need? What's the need you hear as you talk to families, to the people that come to the church or just around the DeKalb County area?
Yes, the economy is shifting so much right now. We have families that are losing their SNAP benefits or they're getting a reduction in the funds that they receive. And employment is really questionable for some folks. So the need is great. We have families who are working, but they still need a little help to put food on the table or make the choice between whether they're getting prescriptions or gas or things for their children. And so we're here just to, as much as we can, fill in that gap and meet that need.
You guys are expecting to help about 1,000 families, and we're just about an hour and a half in. How are you able to get all these supplies, all these goods to bless the families? Right?
Yes, we have a wonderful church. So we're led by Dr. Jamal Bryan, and his heart is so big, and he leads our congregation to give. So we have some very generous people within our congregation, but then we also have corporate partnerships, and the corporate sponsors help us to be able to supersize the giving and the outreaches and the blessings that we do.
If anyone's watching this, are they able to come? Do they need to live in DeKalb or go to the church, or is it open just to anyone in need?
It's open to all. So anyone who is anywhere within reach of Stonecrest, Georgia, come on over to New Birth. We're here. We're here today until 11, but we're here, as I said, every first and third Saturday at 9 a.m., and we welcome our community to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, I'll show you guys this live picture happening right now, and then stay with us. I'll take you outside again to the back to school grocery and school supplies giveaway that's happening. And again, Tyler, I really want to own in how last night the first car arrived at 9:30 p.m. That's just the reality of many families that they're facing here.
I mean, it's an unfortunate situation that people need the help like this, that they have to get there the night before. But you just got to be thankful for organizations and churches like New Birth Missionary Baptist who make it a priority to be able to get back to their community out in Stonecrest and DeKalb County so people can be ready for the upcoming school year. Maria Guzman, so glad you're there. We'll be checking in with you in just about an hour to get the latest on what is happening. Thanks again. And let's continue talking about the new school year. We know Cobb County is returning on Monday, and also Marietta schools returning next week as well. And we want to show you this video that my good friend Denise Dillon, one of our reporters here at Fox 5, was able to capture while she was at a big training exercise for school bus drivers. Let's talk about it. You may have already seen big yellow school buses on the roads, but drivers are making sure they're ready for the new school year. Fox 5 got to see the training Marietta City Schools is using to prepare drivers for emergencies. 114 Marietta City School bus drivers got an up-close look at what happens when a bus catches fire. They watched as that bus filled with smoke and saw the flames coming through the windows. Marietta City Schools worked with the fire department, the Department of Public Safety, and the Department of Education to deliberately set an old school bus on fire to point out how quickly flames can spread and make sure that the drivers know what to do to make sure the students get off the back of the bus, and if they have it, those side exits as well, because you want to make sure you get off as quickly as possible because flames can consume the bus super quickly. And to emphasize the importance of emergency evacuation. So as you can see the video right there, those flames just shooting out of the windows there. And it's obviously a good exercise for them to be able to make sure that the bus drivers know exactly what to do when something like this happens. So as we come back into the newsroom, the time now is 10:27 on this Saturday morning. We are staying on top of the weather. Let's see if we can take a live look outside real quick at the city of Atlanta, where right now you can see definitely a lot more cloud cover than we have seen the last few days, and that is because storms are on the move. We're going to get a check of Fox 5 Live Viper radar with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes. We are back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. .30 on the dot on this Saturday morning. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live. I'm Tyler Fingert. Remember, this is an interactive news conversation. If you have anything you want to talk about, join us in the comments on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Instagram, and we'll try to get your questions answered or any comments on anything we're covering. Remember, we're also live streaming on Fox Local. Let's take a live look outside as storms are getting ready to move into our area. Depending where you are, you may have already gotten some drizzles, but I know a lot of the stuff is sitting across the state line in Alabama. You're looking live at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. If there was an event there today, the good news is the roof would likely be closed. I think it's pretty empty for
closed.
the day. Yeah, well, it would be closed for the event, almost certainly. Good news is I don't think there's anything happening at the Benz. They're probably trying to recover from the month-and-a-half-long tournament we had here, 8 matches for the World Cup that wrapped up, I guess I can say now officially, last month, because it's August 1st.
And you know what this month month is Falcons preseason games at the Benz. That's it goes from the World Cup into the Falcons, and of course we're going to have those on Fox 5.
I was going to say a deep tease. It's going to be a couple of them are going to be on Fox 5 on air.
Yes, so those will be exciting. And look, I mean, college football happens this month, right? The end of the month is going to be the first. It's that week 0 thing. So here we go in the South. I tell you what, it is still very much summertime as far as Mother Nature is concerned, and this is a summertime cold front coming through today across Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. So let's get on over to Fox 5 Live Viper here. This is going to be a loop over the last hour. Let's do every 10 minutes. There we go. So a couple of things. First of all, this morning's rain has really exited off to the east. That's going to be over into the Augusta area now. History for us. Over the last little bit on the Hall-Jackson County line, just north of 129 in Talamo, looking at a pretty good shower. That's going to be right along Holly Springs Road right now, getting up toward Gillsville Road and the Banks County line in the next couple of minutes. We've seen some showers over Lake Lanier as well at various spots, moving from Forsyth into Hall County, not really producing a whole lot of rainfall. Now, let's go up into northwest Georgia. Once you get up 75, this is going to be like exit 333 there in Dalton. If you're familiar with the terrain, there's about a shower that's about to come over the mountain. You get that ridge line right there on the west side of Dalton, and it is raining now in western Whitfield County. So that's moving towards the carpet capital of the world here in the next couple of minutes. Likewise, down along the Coosa River and towards Rome, looking at some showers right now. Notice your lightning counter is there at the top of your screen. Not picking up any lightning with that just yet. However, we are down here to the south. So Cleburne, Randolph, over towards Chambers counties, looking at a storm rolling in the next little bit. I'll flip this over to the Montgomery radar site, and you can get a better view there. Not terribly menacing, if you will, on the radar, but the lightning beginning to pick up is a sign of the updrafts in these storms beginning to strengthen. So keep in mind, right, it's 10:30 in the morning, and this isn't the time that you see severe weather, but into the afternoon, that's what we're going to be on the lookout for. Waiting for an update from the Storm Prediction Center on this map. This is the severe weather outlook for the next, technically it carries through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. A level 2 in place for parts of northwest Georgia from the corner of Murray County down across Whitfield, Chattooga, and parts of Floyd County included in this. In fact, now that I'm looking at it a little closer, this might have been altered slightly because it's coming a little closer to than I think it was. I'll go look and see. I'll let you know here in a little bit. Nonetheless, if it was, there were very minor changes to it. So, but I would say what I said earlier. Right, that green cutoff line, I'd pretend that's a little fuzzy and say that Covington and Marietta probably have the same severe weather threat today. Not terribly high, but one that will be with us here through the afternoon. And Tyler, one last thing that I'm going to pull up that I think is going to be the bigger story today, I just have to dig for it real quick, is going to be the flash flood risk across the Metro Atlanta area. So that's going to be in the hydrology. It's a little behind the scenes. Day 1 excessive rainfall. So this is not a severe weather map. I know it might look like one, but this is the flash flood risk. And I had a graphic I was showing earlier that shows the moisture coming in from the Gulf, and this map perfectly illustrates that as we look at this here over the next couple of hours.
The big threat, though, today going to be certainly the obviously rainfall. We're going to see rain, but definitely wind as well. Yeah. That's the biggest.
So the wind is the driver of the level 2. I showed this earlier, right? This is kind of your wind risk. The brown is as low as it gets. The yellow is one more notch up. And I know everybody always asks about the tornado threat. That is kept out of Georgia today. You see that up across Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee, but does stop short of the Georgia state line.
Is that a flash flood warning up in Nashville?
That is. Yeah, it's been
I know my weather maps, apparently.
It is. Well, so do you know what county?
I've never even been to Nashville.
You haven't, really?
No, I have not. Funny enough, I've been to a lot of places, but not Nashville.
Okay. Well,
would that be, what is east of it? Is that where Murfreesboro is? No, that's south.
Yeah. Nashville's Davidson County, Williamson County's to the south.
You know everything, and you never even worked there.
I've been to Nashville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alex, thanks so much. Appreciate it. As you come back into the newsroom now, we're going to keep everyone up to date on all of the storms that are moving through our area, and we'll continue to do that throughout the show. at the top of the hour, Alex Forbes will join us once again. Let's talk about artificial intelligence. So it is changing just about every part of our lives, including how scammers operate. Just yesterday, we were talking about how people are utilizing it at workplaces. Now we're going to talk about how people are utilizing to do bad things. So from convincing phishing emails to cloned videos and highly targeted online attacks, experts say AI is making cybercrime faster, cheaper, and harder to spot. So joining us now is former Army Cyber Command Advisor, National Security Attorney Michael Leibowitz, to help us understand this growing threat and how we can better protect ourselves. Michael, thanks so much for being here this morning.
Hi, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and this is a growing topic that everyone's going to hear a lot about. AI. Everyone knows AI at this point. You should know it. Artificial intelligence, AI, data centers. But unfortunately, there is a negative part of AI as well, and it's certainly how scammers are utilizing it to be able to take advantage. I mean, just how big of a problem has this become over the past year or two?
It has become a huge problem for everyday people, businesses, researchers, military, government officials, anybody you can think of in the whole country. And the reason is because unlike in past cyber things, where you have like the Nigerian prince, remember those emails? You said, dearest beloved, I have money for you. Now what they're doing is AI is helping the scammers and criminal organizations, even state actors, specifically target people on a bulk basis. So, they might go through everything on the internet that they can find about you. And then it'll say some very personal things that'll be targeted and tailored just to you to make it look way more legitimate than the old kind of just, let's hope and, kind of cast a net and see what happens. And what happens is that people who think that they're sophisticated, that they are sophisticated. It used to be that, it's only the elderly that falls for this. That's not true anymore. Anybody can fall for these. I get scams all the time now, particularly with a book coming out where people will say that, they'll put really nuanced pieces from the internet they put on to make it look like it's legitimate, but it's not, and it's really hard to tell.
And so, I mean, the thing that I've noticed is a lot of those AI-generated emails, gone are the days of where you're going to have a spelling error and you can probably kind of figure it out. And those email addresses that used to be a lot easier to figure out are now almost impossible to tell because they can kind of like spoof some of these email addresses and then have like a reply to separate from what was actually sent to. There's a lot of sophisticated ways people use to be able to take advantage. What are some of the big red flags that people watching right now, the thousands of people I can see on our number just off to the side of our screen here who are watching, that they could be on the lookout for should someone try to target them?
So it depends on if you're looking at email or you're getting phone calls or getting text messages, because it comes from all mediums at this point. So the biggest things to look out for is the offer too good to be true? And are they trying to get you to act right now? Is there a really sense of urgency that even if you're like, well, let me go check on this for a second or think about it, and they say, no, this offer is right now. Because if that happens, it is too good to be true, full stop. Anytime you get something that looks good, sometimes what you can do is you can plug an email into AI and ask if it's AI. And sometimes it'll tell you if it's a sales pitch. But the biggest thing is it too good to be true, and the urgency. And there's a lot of ways to fight back against that, as you kind of think about it. But the main thing is that always don't ever click a link from an email or from a text message. If there's a phone number, do not use it. Do not click on it to call back. What you want to do is if there's a company name, look up the company on your own and call that company yourself. And if, you could ask them, did you contact me with this? And usually they don't contact you through email or text like that. And so it's probably too good to be true.
Yeah, you sound like our info security people here at Fox. We get these emails all the time warning us to be careful about phishing emails. And unfortunately, a lot of big, especially if you work at a big company, you have your cybersecurity folks, the info security people, warning that obviously big companies are going to be a target, especially when it comes to the fact that a ransom could be held if they are able to get inside the system, specifically for hackers and things like that. But is there a way people can protect their personal information? Because you had mentioned at the top of the interview that they are able to scrape everything about you and then tailor something specifically to you. Is there a way people can protect their personal information online so that maybe AI can get less information about you?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it. Some is just watch what you put on the internet, and I realize that social media and things like that, that's hard to do in reality. But definitely go through your terms of service that you have on your cell phones and your devices, and kind of opt out of everything that you can opt out, because you don't want anything tracking you, because data can be sold. Same thing as when you're looking at, like, credit cards from companies or signing up to stores and things like that. When you're just doing online shopping, try to give as little information as possible, try to minimize these things, and just really protect yourself. And another thing that I always advise people to do is, because sometimes now they're getting phone calls where they'll take somebody's voice and they'll say, oh, there's an emergency, you have to act right now, or else something bad's going to happen. What I always tell people is go really analog. When I was a little kid, growing up in the 1980s and 90s, we had a password, a verbal password, that if I ever need to get pick up from school or something like that, what's the password? And I think people with their families and loved ones should still do that now. Don't put the password in your notes in your phone, and don't put it anywhere like in your notes in your emails, but just have like a little password. So then that way, if somebody calls and it sounds like a loved one and there's an emergency, what's the password? And the scammer with the AI isn't going to know it. And that would help you get around that. So it's something I like to tell people.
That's actually an incredibly good idea, especially with older adults and things like that, especially if they can remember that part and call a trusted loved one. I guess I should ask this as well, because we know AI is just going to be a massive part of our lives going forward. Is there a way, are you optimistic that technology is going to be able to stay in front of this, or is this going to be the new normal where scammers are just going to get more and more sophisticated as this technology develops?
So technology and government kind of regulations and advice and things like that are always seem to be a step behind the scammers. So that's why people need to be vigilant. Doesn't mean you have to, totally, shut off the internet and never use it. You just have to sometimes use common sense, but also just be more vigilant, because, I think unfortunately the AI, as they're typing in these codes and they're kind of creating these programs to really target and personalize the targets against regular people, it's just something that we're always going to have to deal with as the technology goes, because the scams are always going to be one step ahead. Because unfortunately, having been in the government for a very long time, the government can be more reactive than proactive, and that's a fight that everybody's always going to have to deal with.
Michael Leibowitz, thanks so much for joining us here on a Saturday morning to talk about AI. I think a lot of people have gotten a lot of these types of emails, have gotten scammers going after them. So this is definitely a topic I think a lot of people might be interested in. Michael Leibowitz, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let's continue to talk about tech. I want to show you. So we know over the last about year or so, we've had Waymos out in our area. Well, federal regulators just approved robo-taxis to operate without steering wheels and eventually even without brake pedals. Amazon's fully autonomous Zoox vehicles got approval yesterday to begin offering rides in cars with inward-facing seats and no steering wheel. Last month, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration proposed a rule to allow robo-taxis to operate without brake pedals. That proposal, though, is still pending. I want you to take a listen to what some officials had to say.
Vehicle Safety Act does give the ability of the agency to grant an exemption to a developer. In this instance, Zoox is a vehicle that has no manual controls, no mirrors, no need for mirrors with an automated driving system, and the cabin configuration, you have passengers facing a self, kind of like you're sitting around a campfire. So very different, innovative design. And they were able to demonstrate to the agency that their vehicle as a design and as those features, for instance, the braking system, that's at least as safe as a compliant braking system.
One, and really our overarching concern is there was not any data or testing results presented that demonstrated that the autonomous driving system that was going to be controlling this vehicle could operate safely on public roads.
And so this comes for Amazon as companies like Zoox, which is, again, owned by Amazon. They're trying to catch up with industry-leading Waymo, which already operates in several cities, including right here in Atlanta. I will mention Waymo vehicles, which operate using a Jaguar-style vehicle, they do have steering wheels. So you're just not allowed to touch them. They also have brake pedals. It looks like a normal car when you're inside the vehicle. I've been in a number of times. So no word if Waymo is going to try to also remove their their steering wheels so they can add an extra seat in there. That remains to be seen. So I want to talk about another story that has to do with transportation, and this one grabbed my attention. I saw it earlier this week, and as an aviation buff, I have to admit this is kind of cool, but I say but here because if you thought your last flight was too long, wait until you hear this. An Airbus jet just recently completed a test flight from Australia to France that lasted a whopping more than 24 hours. They took off from Melbourne, Australia, and by the time they landed in France at the Airbus headquarters, they had been in the air for more than 24 hours. I'm on TikTok in our chat right now. If you want to sound off about that, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. For me, I don't know if I'd want to be in the air for over 24 hours. But understandably, Qantas, which is the Australian flag carrier, they want to have this because they want to be able to connect Australia to pretty much any city around the world. And so Airbus is manufacturing a special jet for Qantas Airlines, which is hoping to develop the world's longest commercial passenger services. That jet made the flight is a specially adapted A350 airliner, and I believe it's the 1000 series, which Atlanta-based Delta Airlines actually just announced a few weeks ago that they're going to be purchasing as well. It departed Melbourne, as I mentioned, in Australia and landed at the plane's factory in France and lasted a whopping 24 hours and 24 minutes and covered 14,000 miles. Certainly a long time to be in the air. That is something that I think would have anyone dreading. Even if you like airplane food, I'm not sure sitting in a plane for 24 hours, a metal tube flying through the air would be my definition of fun, but what do I know? Let's talk about this real quick. We're going to do one more story before we take a quick break, and this one you want to listen to because this could affect you. I believe we have different video. If we can go to the Amazon one real quick. We'll talk about the fridge in a later hour. I want to talk about Amazon. They are giving tariff refunds back to its customers. So after many of President Trump's tariffs were struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court, the e-commerce giant says it's received about $600 million worth of refunds, and it says it's going to give some of it back to consumers. While companies such as Walmart, Target, and Costco have applied for tariff refunds, Amazon is one of only a few corporations that have made public commitment to return tariff charges to consumers. The Supreme Court ruled in February that many of Trump's enacted tariffs were illegal, but the court didn't specify a refund process. And Trump said earlier this year he would be, quote, honored if Amazon and other businesses did not seek refunds. Amazon says it's been able to trace some of those import charges passed on to consumers, and eligible customers will be contacted and automatically issued refunds. So if you purchase on Amazon, you could be getting a refund coming up once Amazon says that they're able to determine who is eligible and all of that. The time now is 10:28 on this Saturday morning. We are honored you're here with us. We have a lot more ahead. We're going to continue talking about the weather, but first we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We're going to check in with our Caitlin Pratt in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Saturday morning. The time now is 10:50. I want to take you to a community event that is happening over the course of the next several weeks, and it kicks off this weekend. The Atlanta Quilt Festival is back, showcasing more than 100 beautiful works of textile art. And our Caitlin Pratt is there in South Fulton where they're holding all of this. Caitlin, when I saw the press release for this, I was super intrigued. I'm interested in art, but I didn't really think about quilts in this way, but they certainly are art.
100%. Good morning to you, Tyler. I'm here in the city of South Fulton, and really a gem of a space that the community has really gathered around. And I'm so thrilled to show you what is happening here, particularly the message behind this latest installation involving quilts. And to walk us through it all, my new friend, Miss Ovi Brantley here. Good morning to you.
Good morning. And I'm glad you're here.
Yes, this is your 18th year doing this.
And we're so excited. This is our happy place.
100%. So we're just going to focus on one wall here, but there's a message behind the show each year. What is the message this year?
This year we are featuring music quilts that are associated with social justice movements. So all of the quilts in this room feature a song that you would think of during the Civil Rights Movement, the Vietnam War, the Revolutionary War, and the Women's Movement. And they are all so creative. And you can the message by just looking at the quilts. But if you want to hear the song, we have the QR code on the label, so you could go to Spotify and hear the song. For instance, this quilt is about unions organizing. This is a sit-in during the Civil Rights Movement, and the song is a change is gonna come.
And I mean, you can't really have it translate on camera, but the texture on these quilts, it's just unbelievably detailed.
And that is so observant of you to know that. I tell people all the time that a photograph just does not do a quilt justice. There's dimension, there are embellishments, there's just a lot of texture. You really have to see the quilts in person. So we have several quilts featuring the song by Nina Simone.
Sure.
And so you'll see a lot of piano playing in here. And we also, I really want to show you this one down here. It's about the women's movement. The song is I Am Woman, and this quilter opted to do a dragon. Ooh. She says she did her research, and dragons really did roar.
Look at these teeth.
Yes. It has teeth, so you can't see that so well. Wow. And look at this beautiful portrait of Nina Simone. Wow. I mean, it looks just like her, doesn't it? So
I mean, it's just incredible. And what I'm noticing too, like this, this artist is from Oakland, California. We have local Stone Mountain, Georgia, of course, Atlanta. This has become just a nationwide situation.
Because this is our 18th year, and over the years, other quilters have found us, and we put out a call on the internet for entries, and we began to get quilts from all over the country. And we are very proud of that, and many of the quilters will plan their vacations so they can be here with us. And if they have grandchildren in Atlanta, grandmothers come, see the grandchildren, and come to the quilt show.
Okay. I think we have time for one more wall over here.
Okay.
What do you think?
Of course, let's look at Miss Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Yes.
So nice.
And this is more Vietnam War. And
it's just so interesting too. You can tell the different skill levels, the different personalities of quilters, and just also too the time that must have been put into each panel.
There's no such thing as a fast quilt. One thing that quilting teaches you is patience. Of course, I have to show you my personal quilt, which is the flag. I wanted to celebrate the country's 250th anniversary, so my quilt celebrates the Revolutionary War, which we're all very. My song is Yankee Doodle.
I love that. I love that. So wrapping up here, Miss OV, tell me how other people can come and experience what I'm seeing right now with my eyes.
The exhibits will be up until September 5th. It's free and open to the public daily from 9 to 5. So just come on down, walk right in, and enjoy.
And in the next half hour or 45 minutes or so, we're going to be showing our streamers some of the workshops that are happening right now in the other building. If someone wants to get involved with that, what should they do?
They should go to our website, atlantaquiltfestival.com, and all of our classes are listed on the website, and they can just sign up for the class. And we do still have a few openings in the classes, and we feature all sorts of quilting techniques. So even if you already know how to quilt, there's something else you can learn.
Well, it was wonderful to talk with you, and we're going to see you in our next hour here on Fox Local. Thank you for walking us through, Miss OV.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for featuring us.
Absolutely. Tyler, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio. What a great, I was telling Miss OV, we just like to get out in the community, tell some good things, not just the sad and bad. So, so happy to be part of this today.
Yeah, on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock, I think it was on Thursday, one of our viewers said, I want some good news. That's what we're trying to do today on a Saturday, show people some of the fun things happening in our community that they can go take part in. Obviously, you know about the High Museum, you know about some of the other places, but this is one of those annual festivals that people should go check out, and they are all beautiful works of art. Caitlin, I love every single one of the pieces that you've showed us, and I'm so glad you walked us through all of it. Caitlin Pratt will check in with you at about 11:35. Thanks so much. And as we get ready to wrap up this hour, we're going to continue to stay on top of the weather. My good friend Alex Forbes is joining me next to me right here. He'll be joining us at the top of the hour at 11. We'll be right back. Top of the hour here on Fox 5 News Live. Thanks so much for joining us. It is 11 a.m. on this Saturday morning, and our top story today is certainly the weather, and we're going to start with that. Let's take a live look outside. You can certainly see, it looks like certainly hazy and definitely very cloudy out there today. A lot less hazy than it's been the last few days from those wildfire smoke coming down from Canada and all of that. Yeah. But we are expecting a good amount of rain at some point today. today, and it's not going to just be once. It sounds like it's going to be possibly a couple times over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, so this is Rome, and this is where you're looking at rain there. That's not haze.
That's rain?
That is rain. So this is obviously close to the Alabama state line, and we're seeing the first showers of the day there in Floyd County. Now let me take you over to LaGrange. This is also looking over into Alabama. You can see the dark clouds off in the distance, and this is going to be one of the first spots to see some showers here before all is said and done. So here we go into a Saturday. We're looking for temperatures in the 70s right now, getting into the 80s relatively short order with that chance for wet weather. Getting on over to Fox 5 Live Viper, you're going to notice that coming across the Alabama state line are those showers and even storms that we're talking about. First, let's go down in towards Rome. So this is where we were looking. Our camera is it's right about here, so we were looking kind of like this into the rain. So that camera's going to be getting wet here in just a little bit. Other than that, down to the south, I've got the Montgomery radar turned on because this is kind of where that storm activity is right now. The bulk of the storms, right, when you look at the loop on this, seem to be pushing south and east. So what you're looking at in that batch is likely going to stay south of Troop Meriwether, Upson counties. But we do still have some strikes of lightning right now. This is going to be parts of Randolph County in the next little bit. Important reminder today that if you hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. So out the door today. Here we go, August 1st on the calendar, looking for showers and storms here through the afternoon. It is not going to rain all day, but it could rain multiple times in the same location through the day. And look, I know a lot of people look at the forecast and like, all right, showers and storms for me at 3 p.m. And that's not necessarily the case, right? Whenever we're looking at information like this, you got to understand that, you know, it's going to rain in Fayette County at some point. Then it's going to rain in Gwinnett County. Then it's going to rain in Clarke County. And it's not necessarily the case that we would be looking at everywhere getting rain at the same time. Now, as it rains today, something to keep in mind is the flash flood threat across metro Atlanta and North Georgia. We're going to be looking at some really high, what you call PWatt values, which is a really fancy way of saying that there's a lot of moisture in our atmosphere. So much so that if you condensed it, it would be about 3 inches of rain in some spots and just one column of air. All right, so the cold front's going to come sliding on through. The question is, where does it stall out? Is it in metro Atlanta? Is it off to the east? The high-resolution models are favoring the eastern side. So am I, and so is the Storm Prediction Center, which you see the severe weather outlook today keeps that really confined to northwest Georgia, keeps it just barely out of the perimeter. But into tomorrow, we would be looking at that level 1 extending off to the east, right? So it's kind of like everybody's on equal playing field for the weekend, I think is a good way to look at it. There's the hour by hour now. Notice, so hold on, let me back this up. All right, so it is 10, it's 11. It's 11 on the dot. Notice how this particular computer forecast model for 11 a.m. does not look anything like the radar right now. And that's a problem, right? So as I play this forward into the afternoon, I don't put a whole lot of stock in it because it doesn't have a good starting point, right? If you're doing a math equation and you screw something up to start, then everything else is not going to be right. So the models have had a hard time handling this. That's why we're saying multiple waves of storms, 90% chance of rain. Out the bus stop there on Monday for back to school, looking for something similar to a summertime pattern more so than the front we're dealing with this weekend. So 90% chance of rain today. I am expecting the front to stall off to the east. That is my forecast. That means a 40% chance of rain in metro Atlanta tomorrow. But for places like Athens, Eatonton, Greensboro, even over towards Augusta, that rain chance would be back up to 80 to 90% before we're settled into that summertime pattern through the week ahead.
Sounds good, Alex. We're going to check in with you in just about a half hour for another update as this timing continues to develop and as it continues to move into North Georgia. Alex, thanks so much. Let's get you caught up on some of the headlines we're following. I want to take you now to a incident that happened at Piedmont Park back on 404 Day. Well, police have now arrested a 17-year-old suspect in connection with the deadly shooting during a 404 Day celebration. Kane Burnett turned himself in at the Fulton County Jail last night. Investigators say Burnett is 17 years old. 16-year-old Tiana Robinson was killed in the April 4th shooting. Burnett is charged with reckless conduct, possession of a pistol by a person under the age of 18, and discharging a weapon near a public street. We are still awaiting a mugshot for Kane Burnett. As soon as we get that, we'll try to bring it to you right here on Fox 5 News Live at noon. Let's talk about a case out of Athens. Look at this image that investigators sent to us here at Fox 5. Look at all that cash. They had a major stash that they recovered. A multi-agency drug investigation ended with a man in handcuffs and the seizure of tens of thousands of dollars in cash. And you can see that cash right there. According to the Athens-Clarke County Police Department, authorities, including the Northeast Georgia Regional Drug Task Force, recovered a trafficking quantity of fentanyl. That's the type of drug that can kill. Just a gram of it can certainly kill a lot of people. And 4 firearms as well were recovered, along with 4 vehicles and approximately $74,000 in cash. Authorities arrested Darren Turner. The Athens man faces multiple charges, including fentanyl trafficking and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. To Hall County now, looking at mugshots of 2 individuals who have been charged in connection to a drive-by shooting at a convenience store. Take a listen to how all this unfolded. Deputies charged Travis White and Cooper Robinson with aggravated assault. So here is what happened. Listen closely, because it is kind of wild what they're accused of. So they stopped by the Stop By Food Mart on Dahlonega Highway, and authorities say the men went to the store to buy alcohol. The clerk refused the sale, which led to an argument before the men left the business. And deputies say a woman also jumped into the argument in defense of the clerk. And this is where the story kind of gets wild. The investigators say once they got back to their car and once in the car, the suspects pulled out a gun and fired shots at the store, which it seems kind of excessive based off what investigators are saying. They're upset about not being able to buy alcohol, pull out a gun when they're leaving and start shooting at the store. They're now in custody, and obviously they're going to be facing charges for what allegedly happened here. And to Paulding County now, the coroner there says she will be conducting what is known as an inquest into the 2017 death of Heather Turner. This happened months after the sheriff's office closed the case. In May 2017, Turner's husband, Andy Turner, found her inside their home with a gunshot wound to her head. Well, this past February, the sheriff's office officially ruled the death a suicide. The coroner there in Paulding County said she was not included in several meetings with investigators earlier this year. And she said she is not prepared to support changing Turner's death certificate from undetermined to suicide. She believes an inquest jury should hear sworn testimony about the death, and that would allow a jury to decide Turner's manner of death. The coroner says she will hold a news conference within 2 weeks to update the public on the status of the case. And right now, multiple law enforcement agencies are working to find a missing man who you see on your screen at Carter's Lake in North Georgia. So authorities say Sean Cunningham, that's the guy who's missing, has been not seen for several days. Authorities say they are searching about 2 square miles of Carter's Lake in the air and in the water to find Sean Cunningham. Right now, they're working around the clock to find more clues that lead them to him. Fox 5 drone video captured some of the area authorities are searching in Murray and Gilmer counties. Authorities say the 37-year-old, who's from Florida, was last heard from late Tuesday night while taking cover from severe storms. Take a listen to what Georgia Department of Natural Resources officers had to say about this specific case.
He talked to his friend that he indicated that he was under a dock taking shelter from some of those storms, and that he at some point had been on the lake during the storms and was having trouble paddling against those winds that were coming through with that storm.
So obviously investigators are asking anyone who might know anything to give them a call. Authorities say Cunningham took off from the Wood Ring campground on Carter's Lake. DNR officials say Cunningham's backpack has been recovered, but there is no sign of his green canoe. Again, call Georgia DNR or local law enforcement if you see him, know where he is, or have any information about this case. Let's talk about an event that is happening today in the city of Atlanta, as long as the weather doesn't ruin all the fun. Formula One cars are coming to Summer Hill this Saturday as part of the Red Bull Show Run. That's the name of it, Red Bull Show Run. But neighbors say the high-speed event poses big safety risks. The neighborhood voted it down twice, but city officials still approved the permit for the event. So you're going to hear roaring engines and burning rubber on Hank Aaron Drive. Tens of thousands of fans are expected to watch Formula One drivers drivers showing off high-speed skills during a half-mile stretch along a half-mile stretch rather of Hank Aaron Drive in the Summer Hill neighborhood. That's the area kind of near where the Olympic rings are. Some residents say they're worried about the potential danger of the number of fans and high-speed cars in the neighborhood, as well as any damage it could cause. And Councilman Michael Julian Bond sympathizes with residents, but says if permits pass public safety checks, the city normally approves them. Take a listen to what he told us.
If we do not have a public safety concern or a legal concern, normally the permits are granted, meaning, having the adequate number of police officers to support it and whatever other EMS services that might be required.
So this is also impacting MARTA because the bus rapid transit line that launched within the last couple of months, it runs right on that stretch of roadway at Hank Aaron Drive. And so they're actually having to reroute traffic and reroute the buses. And so now they're requesting reimbursement because of the road closure, as well as construction delays, customer communication, and damage. We should mention the event is scheduled to begin at 5 p.m. This afternoon into the evening. However, we know rain is in the forecast. It's unclear how that could all impact it. I want to talk about some sad news. A major Atlanta festival, an event that happens every single year for more than a decade. Well, it won't be happening this year. Organizers of One Music Fest announced they are officially pausing the festival for this year. But, and there's a big but, they are promising to return in 2027 with a completely reimagined experience. Organizers are basically saying that this is just a necessary step to be able to make this better for everyone. The Prominent Music Festival honors Black culture and music and has been taking place for the past 16 years, welcoming over 100,000 fans each year. The festival has built its reputation on bringing together artists across different genres and generations, serving as an annual cultural homecoming in the city of Atlanta. In a statement released to fans, festival organizers emphasized that the decision to skip 2026 is a strategic move to innovate rather than a sign of trouble. Organizers said in part, quote, "This is not an ending. It is an opportunity to build the next chapter of One Music Fest with the same bold vision that has guided us since day one." It went on to say, "We are not interested in simply repeating what we've already built. We're focused on creating what's next." And a heads up on the west side, if you are anywhere near I-285, basically on the west side perimeter, this affects you. The state has postponed its 285 shutdown that was set to happen this weekend. Originally, GDOT said the interstate would close between Cascade Road and MLK Jr. Drive starting Friday night through the weekend, but the closure was pushed back due to possible inclement weather. You heard from Alex Forbes just within the last about 10 minutes who said we're expecting some storms to move through this afternoon. Well, GDOT says there will be another 285 shutdown in Fulton and Cobb counties starting August the 7th. And if you haven't looked at a calendar recently, today's August 1st, so the 7th is next week. So just a heads up for the west side. This is just the first few of what will be more than a dozen, I think more than 24 actually, shutdowns of 285 over the course of the next several years as they rebuild that section of roadway. The time now is 11:13 on this Saturday morning. We are staying on top of the weather, but first, in just 2 minutes, we're going to check in with some of our reporters who are talking about back to school, because Monday, it is a big day for Atlanta Public School students, along with folks in DeKalb and many different school districts in our area. We'll check in with Kim Leffler and Maria Guzman in just 2 minutes. Stay with us. We're continuing to rock and roll on this Saturday morning. The time now 11:16. I'm Tyler Finger. We're so glad you're here for this news conversation. Let's talk about back to school. It is a big week ahead for a number of school districts in our area. If we can take a look at the map that just shows the number of different systems that are heading back to school. Let's clear this lower third for you there. You can see that Atlanta Public Schools heading back, Cherokee County, Clayton County, Cobb, Decatur City, DeKalb County, Fulton County, and that list goes on and on and on. And this is likely about a third of our area heading back to class on Monday. So we know kids are getting ready for that. And you can see on that list, Atlanta Public Schools is one of them. And they're holding a back to school bash to get together students and parents to make sure that they're ready for the big year ahead. And that back to school bash is happening at the Georgia World Congress Center. My good friend Kim Leffler joins us live once again from there. And Kim, obviously, maybe the kids aren't excited as much as the parents are to get rid of them for a couple hours each day so they can learn. But the superintendent says that they are ready for everyone to return to class. What's it like there, and what's the excitement level like?
Hey, Tyler. Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of smiles on the kids' faces all morning here. This event started right around 9 o'clock. It goes until 1 p.m. today. And I wanted to take you guys over to the other side of the hall here and show you some of these booths that are set up. Let me flip this around so you can see. So here, you can see there's a little bit of everything here. We got the Girl Scouts that are here. Park Schools Montessori has a booth set up. So there's a lot of free giveaways for kids. There's also been school supplies have already been, a lot of those have already been taken up. We've got some books here for kids to grab. So this event is all meant to kind of just get kids ready to go back to school. There's been some student performances, and there's also been a chance for kids to get some meal samples from the nutrition team here at the Atlanta Public Schools. But I did catch up with the superintendent a little earlier this morning. Take a listen to what he had to say as they get ready for this new school year.
Excited to see students back. Our teams have been working really hard over the last couple of months to make sure we're prepared for day one. We have 0 teacher vacancies. Our average teacher experience is about 14 years, and so we're excited about our teaching force, our leaders, our staff, everybody. Bus routes are covered, so we're just excited to see students back, and we're ready. Our board has leaned in. You know, I don't know anything's different. Our strategic plan speaks to back to basics, and so a lot is not changing. Our work right now is getting better at what we do every single day. And so literacy will continue to be a focus. You'll see us really doubling down. Our board this summer did a ton of work around value, screen value, and making sure that as we use technology, we're using it in meaningful ways. And so for us, it's getting a step better every single year, every single day on behalf of students.
You heard the superintendent mention when they go back to school on Monday, the district will have less than 5 teacher vacancies, and every school bus route is going to be covered by a driver. So certainly a very big year for Atlanta Public Schools. I've noticed things have started to thin out just a little bit. Obviously the energy's still high. A lot of folks still here this morning. We're still another 2 hours or so of this event, but certainly a lot of kids coming in, getting everything that they need, ready to start school on Monday. Tyler.
Kim, thank you so much for a look at what's happening at the Georgia World Congress Center. I do appreciate it. And let's take people now to DeKalb County, where a local church is hosting a massive back-to-school bash as well. New Birth Missionary Baptist, which is a massive church out in the Stonecrest area, wants to make sure that students and parents are ready for this upcoming school year. We've been checking in with our Maria Guzman throughout the morning. And Maria, you're once again outside, and I can see a lot of items behind you. Tell us about what's happening and how important this is for people in the community.
Hey Tyler, this big back to school giveaway started around at 9 in the morning, and they expected about 1,000 families to come, and I do believe they reached that goal because you just saw the lines of cars that were driving into this parking lot right behind me. But now this is the volunteer distribution time. So we had about 200 volunteers that were helping packing the items and also just putting them inside the family's car. So now volunteers are being able to take home some of those supplies as well to bless their families. But I got a chance to talk with the pastor of the church. This is actually just one of the several outreaches they do, and they do it because they see a really big need, not only in their congregation, but also as well in the county. So let's go ahead and take a listen to them.
This is not charity, it's compassion, it's community. There are no questions asked about whether you're a member or how much money you make. If you have a need, pull up and we meet it. And so many people are relieved to know that they can be treated with decency and humanity without feeling looked down upon. And so I think that this is what the real church is supposed to look like. Each cart will get, if you've got school-age children, you'll get school supplies. Otherwise, you'll get bakery goods, you'll get fresh produce, you'll get fresh food, and you will get poultry. The pressure on so many families trying to make sure they have enough for their children who are going back to school, and what is silently crushing is how many grandparents are taking care of grandchildren and don't have enough. But I'm excited that we're able to meet the need and exceed the expectation. 1,000 families are going to be blessed on today. I am overwhelmingly grateful that we do it twice a month, the first and the third Saturday. I'm grateful for the generous heart of the givers of New Birth and for stakeholders in the larger community who see the good work and donate. I'm grateful that we have 200 volunteers weekly. They come not just from our members, from civil and social organizations, from community organizations, Pan-Hellenic organizations, and other churches come and work alongside us. Tomorrow we're expecting 100 principals from DeKalb County. There are 183 schools in the county. We're going to give them professional supplies as well as things to help decorate their classroom, and pray for all of our educators so that they're mentally and spiritually equipped for the coming school year. Because I think they are the unsung heroes of the community. They give so much and receive so little, and I think they are worthy of a soldier's reward. Yeah, we're here generally from 9 until 11, but we don't leave until all supplies are gone.
Yes, and a lot of the supplies the family did get to take home were, items that they can make their kids breakfast food for, lunch items, and so it's just in time for the first day of school on Monday. But tomorrow, just like he mentioned, they're going to continue here the celebration. So tomorrow, it's going to be dedicated to teachers and the principals of DeKalb County Schools. Tyler.
Yeah, Maria, I love that they do this. This is important, and now they're helping just so many people. So have they fully finished helping people who just come out there? Now it's just for the volunteers who were there. They're getting their chance to be able to get some items?
That is right. So they were able to serve the last car about 20 minutes ago. So the last car got some grocery items, some back to school items. So now it's the volunteers' time. What it's really nice is that they're also having lunch. So after a day of helping and serving, they get to really share this moment, all the volunteers together.
And I think it just goes to show you, you said they wrapped up about 20 minutes ago with the final car. That was 11 o'clock. It all got underway at 9 o'clock. And they essentially were going until 1 was the timing, 9 to 1, I believe you said, right, earlier. So like that's how quickly it went by 11 o'clock, and just shows the need. Yeah. Were you able to talk to any of the people who were collecting some of these items about just how grateful they are?
Yes, I mean, Tyler, I got here at 8:30 a.m. and there was already a line of cars, and actually they had one line specifically for moms, so they didn't have to wait, and that line was already moving and already going. So I believe they started even earlier because the line was already forming and it was long. I mean, just like I've been talking about, I spoke to that one mom who showed up here around 9:30 p.m. last night, and I believe she did tell me that she slept in her car in order to be the first car and get these resources. So they were able to help those big numbers within just like 2 hours since we started. But again, that line was already here. The parking lot was already packed since I want to say 8:30 a.m. or earlier.
Maria, thank you so much for joining us and showing us this big event that they were doing out there and just how vitally important it is. Thank you so much. We'll check in with you a little bit later. And as we stay on the conversation about schools, I want to show you this video from Marietta City Schools. Look at that. A school bus was on fire. Yeah, you saw that? Let's see if we can go back to the top of that video real quick, Chris, so we can show everyone real quick in case they missed it. Look at that. They intentionally set that on fire, and the reason was so that they could make sure that their bus drivers are trained in what to do when something like that, if it comes up. Not when, if it comes up, because obviously the hope is it never comes up, but they have to make sure you're prepared. So Fox 5 got to see the training Marietta City Schools is using to prepare for emergencies. 114 Marietta City School bus drivers got an up-close look at what happens when that bus catches fire, and they watched as that bus filled with smoke and saw the flames coming through the windows. Marietta City Schools worked with the fire department, the Department of Public Safety, and the Department of Education to deliberately set the old bus on fire to point out how quickly flames can spread. They really wanted to emphasize just the importance of being prepared when it comes to emergencies. As we come back into the newsroom now, we're going to stay on top of all of the back to school stuff that you need to know. Fox 5 is committed to be your back to school authority here, and we'll continue to keep you up to date throughout the weekend ahead of Atlanta City Schools and a lot of other big districts going back on Monday. In the meantime, we're going to talk about the weather because that is also a big story. We're expecting a stormy Saturday. We'll check in with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes in just 2 minutes. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We're approaching 11:30 on this Saturday morning. I'm Tyler Fingert. Thanks so much for joining us for this interactive news conversation. We are live streaming on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, so join us in the comments. I have the TikTok channel open. We're actively monitoring that, so if you have something you want answered, if you have something for our Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes that you want to ask him, join us in the comments. We're going to check in with him right about now, but let's see if we can take a live look outside as we are looking at, I believe this is LaGrange, because that looks like the shot we saw just about a half hour or so ago where it was, I will say, bone dry, but things were coming. I now see what looks like some rain falling because the storms are now moving across the state line into Georgia from Alabama. Let's get a check of the forecast with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes. Was I right in everything I said?
Yes, and actually, Chris, if we could pop that up one more time, one more thing to point out that I think is going to be really indicative of today. Look at the clouds on the camera, they look like they're moving slowly, but in the grand scheme of things, they're actually moving pretty quick, and that is the best indicator of the huge uptick in humidity that we've seen across the North Georgia region over the morning hours. That is, camera is pointed off towards Alabama, so that the clouds are moving from southwest to northeast into the metro Atlanta area. Now let's get over to Fox 5 Live Viper, and what you're going to see is showers continuing to push in, but not so much in the way of storms just yet. However, the lightning continues to tick up. So, into the afternoon, that has always kind of been the stormy timeline. We're just kind of getting the appetizer right now. This is Fox 5 Live Viper. Take you up first into towards northwest Georgia, parts of Dalton over towards Calhoun. Pretty good shower. That's rolling towards Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and in some of the higher elevations that saw some flash flooding last Tuesday and in the Carters Lake area. Not a whole lot in the way of lightning with this. Those 3 strikes that you see up top are actually tied to what's going on up across the Tennessee line right now in the Athens, Tennessee area. Take you down into Polk and Haralson County. Broken line of showers moving through. Not a whole lot in the way of lightning activity there. Randolph County pretty much covered up with rain. That's moving over towards Heard and Coweta counties here before too long. And then more of that's down to the south. So that's kind of the lay of the land right now. We have picked up already some rainfall totals that are notable so far in the last, I hit 24, but we could even do 12 hours. This morning we had a pretty good batch of showers roll across the south side of the metro. At least a half inch of rain from Locust Grove over to Jackson Lake, and then over through parts of Putnam County. Some spots already, here we are at 11:32, have seen about, let's see if I can find, yep, there you go, an inch of rain so far already today. So, there's some people out there saying, what do you mean it hasn't rained yet? And then there are other people who have seen an inch of rain, and that's how it goes across the metro Atlanta area. Now, we've been talking about the storm threat. This is the Storm Prediction Center outlook for today. Notice that northwest Georgia is clipped by that level 2 and level 1. Obviously, the level 2 is going to be further north and west than the level 1. But I always like to remind people that, Georgia, here we are, it's a small piece of the larger puzzle that extends from Mississippi up into Ohio and Indiana. When you look at the tornado outlook today, you see that does not come into Georgia, whereas the wind outlook does. Yeah, the tornado outlook, you want to measure it? It's probably like 3 miles.
Yeah, Chattanooga's right there. That's barely not in Georgia.
Let's see. No, it's a little more than 3. It's 5. It comes within 5 miles. Yes. But look, I would say the same thing about, the SPC outlook here. I would not lock in on the exact lines today. Right, Canton does not have that much less of a severe weather threat than Lawrenceville does. I'd say that's a little fuzzy in terms of a storm threat today. Nonetheless, do keep an eye to the sky and an eye to the ground. Flash flooding will be another thing on the docket here for the day ahead.
Well, and Alex, I just pulled up the operations plan for the FAA for across the country, and they mentioned Atlanta multiple times today, specifically because of those thunderstorms, and they're expecting possibly at some point today up until about 11 p.m. A ground stop is possible, which could impact people trying to fly back into town if they're looking to come back ahead of the first day of school. But obviously we know anytime there are thunderstorms, even if it's not directly impacting the airport right where they are, if they're kind of severe and they're to the west of the airport, it kind of affects bringing in planes and letting them take off.
Right.
So we'll be monitoring that. The FAA doesn't always say everything's going to be that doesn't always say that they're expecting a ground stop. That's only usually on days that it's more than just a simple rain shower. But I know you'll keep us up to date. We'll check in with you in just about a half hour for the latest on the timing here on Fox 5 News Live. Alex Forbes, thanks so much for joining us. And I want to see if we can go out to my good friend, Caitlin Pratt. She is at the Atlanta Quilt Festival, which kicks off this weekend, and they're showcasing a lot of beautiful works of art, specifically quilts. And she checked in with us a little under an hour ago, and she was showing a lot of great different quilts and talked with the CEO. Caitlin, I'm looking forward to this. Everything you showed us last time was beautiful, and I'm hoping you show us a few more beautiful items that we can check out there.
Yes, Tyler, good morning to you. Okay, so we introduced you to one of the other buildings where there was special display. People can walk in free of charge and sit down, look, just take it all in. I'm in the other building now here in the city of South Fulton, and going to show you firsthand what's going on. One of the workshops that are underway as we speak, and to guide us through it, my new friend, O.V. Brantley, CEO. Go ahead, let's walk us in here and tell us what's going on.
Okay. Well, in this class, these ladies are learning how to do hand applique. You know, there are many quilting techniques, and they can be done on the machine, and some can be done by hand. And these ladies are working by hand. And of course, applique is when you cut out one piece of fabric and sew it on top of another piece of fabric. And it's more of a picture quilt rather than a pieced quilt.
Sure.
But of course, this takes a lot of time. Anytime you're doing anything by hand, it's very slow. And so we encourage people to do handwork because it's good for your mental health. Most quilters find that by slowing down, either doing hand stitching or hand applique, it relaxes them and brings them peace.
There's something to be said, Miss O.V., in this age where faster, let's get, everything underway. There's something to be said for slowing down.
Absolutely.
And enjoying the process, right?
Yes. And I do want our viewers to know that we have an entire curriculum of classes.
Right, this is just one indication.
This is just one, and we have classes every Friday and Saturday during the month of August. And we have beginner classes all the way up to professional classes. And I'm very proud of our youth beginner class.
Oh, that's
We
fun.
have teenagers who come, and we furnish everything they need to learn how to make a quilt block. And by the end of the day, they know how to quilt. You'd be amazed.
That is amazing. And you were showing me, this is something that evolves, the technique. What is this we're looking at here?
That is a pixel quilt. And so the quilter takes a picture and blow it up, or however they get the very little pieces. And just like you're looking at a photograph, you see darks, lights, and mediums. And if you look at this very closely, you'll see these very small squares, like 1 inch each. So that is very time consuming because she sewed all those 1 inch squares together.
Wild. So you have a very special event happening tomorrow too. Tell us about that.
Tomorrow's our big day. We want to invite everybody to come out for our opening reception from 11 to 4. We'll have food trucks and vendors with all kind of unique things you can buy. We'll have a ribbon ceremony, and all the quilters will learn who won the ribbons, and lots of quilts to look at. So come on out. It's free.
Absolutely. And what are the categories for the competition?
The categories are traditional quilts, modern quilts, art quilts, African American heritage, and small quilts.
And you've had so many entries. That's got to feel good.
Yes. Every year we've got more and more. And this year, because we did get so many entries, we have another venue at the Cascade Library. So we keep growing, and come and join us.
Any closing thoughts just on this event and what it means to you in its 18th year?
I would say everybody needs to take a break from time to time and do something simply because it brings them joy. And that is what we do at the Atlanta Quilt Festival. Nobody has to make a quilt. You can get a quilt at Walmart. But we make these beautiful quilts because it brings us joy. And we all need that in our lives.
Well said. And I think that's the perfect way to close this segment, Tyler. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, Caitlin, we do all need joy, and this brings joy. I mean, we were talking about it here. We were like, these are all beautiful pieces of art that are hanging on the walls just beyond where they are crafting them right now, and you can just see so many beautiful ones surrounding you. Caitlin Pratt, thanks so much for giving us a look at what is happening, and folks can go out there over the course of the next several weeks to be able to take in all that is happening, and it is the Atlanta Quilt Festival. We're going to try to put the details on our website, fox5atlanta.com. Caitlin Pratt, thanks for joining us. So as we switch it up a little bit, I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people have. So I have essentially one. It's an Apple Watch, but it tracks your fitness. Ella, do you have one? Do you have a fitness watch or is it an Apple Watch? She has an Apple Watch. What about you, Chris? Do you have any fitness? No. So some people, a lot of people have either the Fitbit. One of my good friends has a Fitbit. People have the Apple Watch, which can track your fitness and things like that. So the question I've always wondered, how accurate are the ones that are on the market these days? And unfortunately, it can be hard to know which one to buy or if any of them actually work. But we're checking in with a doctor. Let's take a listen.
There's really a lot more data that needs to be had with these devices. You know, we have over 249 studies that are done with over 400,000 participants. And only 11% of devices that are commercially available have been validated for just one single metric. So if we think about that, you know, there's really a lot more that we don't know than we do know with these devices.
And so Cleveland Clinic Dr. Michael Dack says that the most validated metric with fitness trackers is step count. So how many steps you've taken. And I actually live and die by my step count. I try to make sure I do at least 10,000 every single day because I feel like I accomplish something if I at least get to 10,000. And so I try to do that before I go to bed. They also say active and resting heart rate also seems to be fairly accurate. Other metrics like calories burned, stress level, and quality of sleep are considered much less accurate. And the doctor explains that those kinds of readings require more detail than what these devices can collect. So the question, does this mean fitness trackers are a waste of money? Not necessarily. However, he does suggest asking yourself a few questions before you end up purchasing one.
What are you actually trying to improve? Do you need accountability? Do you need something partly objective to say, here's what I've done, or here's a way for me to track some of the things that I haven't been tracking? Will you actually use this? Is it going to stay in the drawer? So if you're not going to put it on and it's not going to be on you all the time, how are you going to get that data and what are you going to do with that data?
And so if you opt not to buy a fitness tracker, there are ways to monitor your progress. For example, you could take before and after photos or document body measurements. But I do have to admit, it is nice to be able to know how you're doing. And so calorie-wise, those may not be accurate, as he said, because obviously they're not getting the exact metrics. But knowing the steps, those apparently appear to be accurate. And there are also some newer items that keep coming on as technology advances will make things obviously a little bit more accurate as that technology just gets better and better. And as we continue on the topic of health, let's talk about this one. Growing research may suggest that the times when people eat throughout the day could influence their long-term brain health. A small clinical trial run by researchers at Rutgers University found that limiting food intake to an 8 to 9 hour window daily may help preserve certain cognitive functions. The 6-month trial followed 47 women ages 50 to 79 who were overweight or had obesity. While every woman was tasked with reducing their daily calories by roughly 500, 26 participants were also told to eat all of their food within a period of less than 9 hours each day. This as the remaining participants ate across a daily period of about 12 hours. In the end, researchers say both groups showed an average weight loss of roughly 15 pounds, but teams also found participants who ate all their food in an 8-hour to 9-hour window performed significantly better on spatial planning and problem-solving tests. However, researchers found no meaningful differences between the groups on reaction time or multitasking tests. The findings are preliminary and the study has not yet been peer-reviewed. Researchers say larger studies are needed to confirm the results, adding future studies will hopefully further examine why meal timing impacts brain health. And here's another thing that people are doing nowadays, and that's vaping as they try to avoid cigarettes. But vaping apparently is changing the future of cancer in the U.S. Researchers analyzed data from a federal health survey collected between 2015 and 2023, finding as more smokers switch to vaping and other forms of nicotine use, those who make that switch may face a lower cancer risk than regular smokers. Study authors emphasize no nicotine products is completely safe, and the healthiest choice will be to either never use any form of tobacco or quit them entirely. They added full impact from the switch to straight vaping may not be visible for decades. As we come back into the newsroom, the time now is 11:45 on this Saturday morning. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break and then we'll take you to Cobb County just ahead. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Saturday morning. The time now 11:47. I want to take you out to a fun event that's happening in Cobb County this weekend. If you love arcade games, pinball, or classic consoles, this weekend is certainly for you. The Southern Fried Gaming Expo is taking over the Cobb Galleria with hundreds of games, tournaments, panels, and hands-on fun for gamers of all ages. And our Matt Stringer is live there this morning with a look. I see it looks like Pikachu behind you.
Oh yeah, we got Pikachu. Yeah, Pikachu is a big item, of course, every year at Southern Fried Gaming, but this year it's really big because this is the first year of the new Pokemon pinball machine. First time ever. And let's see if you can take a look at this. This is one of the big attractions here. Southern Fried Gaming. This is the 13th year, and I've been the last 5 or 6 years, and it just keeps getting bigger and better. If you can see, they got a lot of pinballs, but they also have a lot of old school arcade games, more than 300. And people, once you get in, you don't have to put any quarters in anything. It's all free to play. Just gotta stand in the line, and all the newer pinball subs right here. Actually, this game, we got to see it yesterday for the first time. We were the first people to get to see the game in person. They just announced this game maybe 3 days ago. It's Bon Jovi by a new company called Barrels of Fun, and it's a fantastic game. Kind of hard, but big fan favorite. But I don't know if you knew this, but pinball, people are like, there's pinball machines still? It's actually, the last few years has really taken off. There's been, a handful of new startup companies in the last few years that started making games. Like, this is a company called American Pinball, and they recently went through an ownership change, and they are starting to bring out new games. This is an older game, but they kind of did a remaster for it. It's called Galactic Tank Force. And people are really enjoying this back, and people are getting to play it. There's a company called Spooky, and they came out with Beetlejuice, and this was last year's, or came out, I guess, about 6 months ago. And they sold out before anyone ever played the game. They made 1,000, and they were already sold out. It's pretty crazy. But if you're in the area, even after the expo is over here, there's many pinball places you can play pinball around the Atlanta metro area. And there's actually an app called Pinball Map. And if you download the Pinball Map, it's free, and it'll show you which pinball machines are near you. And you can look for one and go play it and enjoy some mechanical haptic fun. My favorite one so far, this is brand new. This is Sonic the Hedgehog by a company called Jersey Jack. And it is, it's so addictive. I think I played it 20 times yesterday. Fantastic game, especially for all the old school retro gamers. Get to play Sonic. There's Harry Potter, that was last year's big one. That's always very crowded. And then the oldest company that's still making pinball machines is Stern out of Chicago, and they came out with Transformers. This is really good season. And that's this year's new item. So they come out with there's probably each company pinballs a year over the last few years. So it's an industry that's still just getting bigger and bigger. I think a lot of younger people are getting into pinball. Of course, all of us that grew up with pinball machines and stores and restaurants, you're starting to see them pop up again. Speaking of retro gaming, there's you recognize that guy, Tyler? Super Mario right there.
Can I ask you a question, Matt? So obviously I've been
sure.
Not a big time now for 4 years. First times out in the field, one of our fellow journalists at Fox 5. You always talk about pinball machines. You help. You actually fix them up, don't you?
I try. I started to get into the hobby of restoring our older arcade machines, like your Pac-Mans and NBA Jams and stuff like that. And I started collecting them, and I ended up getting a pinball that you buy them, they're not such great shape, and you restore them to kind of new, and kind of learn by just doing it. And it can be a daunting task. There's so many moving parts, but now there's so many YouTube channels that people are actually sharing their knowledge with people, because a lot of these machines, these older arcades and electronics, the engineers and the people that worked on them are, getting up there in age, and it's really nice that they're sharing their knowledge with the younger crowd, so it's kind of like taking over the mantle. So 5 years ago, I wouldn't know how to fix a machine or how to do anything, and it's so crazy. I don't have any electrical engineering background, and now, just because of these guys sharing their tips and just for free, just put it out there to the public. Now I'm repairing circuit boards and all sorts of stuff, and it's actually it turned out to be a really relaxing hobby. But yeah, here's some of your old games. I don't know if you remember any of these. Karate Champ, we got Stargate, and they're all using the old CRTs or tube televisions, and they don't make those anymore, so they're really hard. You gotta find somebody that can repair them, or learn how to repair them yourself, and that's what I do. Otherwise, you'll get one of these. Nobody wants to see that. But yeah, it's a
want to come on out. If people want to come on out to the expo, how expensive is it? How can people get there, and what do they do?
I believe, they can't quote me on the price. I know they do, there's a pass for 3 days, but that was if you can buy that online. But since yesterday was the first day, they do have a day pass, but you just come inside the Galleria, and you'll go to the registration, and you'll purchase the day pass. And I believe, I'm not sure how much that is. I believe it's probably around $40 maybe, but that gets you inside, and like I said, once you get in, you can play all the pinball you want, all the arcades you want, but that's not just what they have here. They've got your PC gaming setup where you can play with all your buddies. They're all hooked up. You just come sit down wherever you want, play games. They have tournaments. They've got every game you can think of. They also have an area with console games. So, and we're talking every console from Atari, old school Nintendo. Here's the guy playing Nintendo. Looks like he's playing with his kids. Kind of educating them on the, how we used to have it back in the 8-bit day. And now they've got all this virtual reality stuff that's just incredible. But they've got stuff from the 70s, the 80s, all the way up to the modern gaming for anyone to play. And not only that, they have board games. You got your Magic the Gathering type games, the Dungeons and Dragons type games. And not only that, you can come purchase games. They've got, here you go, look at this. There's an Atari 5200. Can't find that at the store. But if people want to come back and relive their childhood, they've got all the, maybe there's a game you always wanted you never could find, and this is a place. There are just tens and tens of booths set up, different booths, people selling parts of their collections. Sharing it with the public here. Here's some stuff you probably recognize, these Sega Genesis games. But yeah, just a lot of cool stuff. I mean, everything from, I'll tell you what, and when you get in, you can enjoy, there's old school computers, there's the new stuff, video games, pinball. They also have, get this, they got live wrestling here, Tyler. There's a room with a full-size ring, and I believe it starts around 8 o'clock tonight, and it's about an hour long. I mean, it's like going to a real wrestling match, and they have done several matches, and we've gone each year, and it's exciting. I mean, it's fun. A lot of the young kids really like it. I mean, even older kids. Well, I think we're all older kids here if you're at the Southern Pride Gaming Expo. But this is an annual tradition for a lot of people. I've met so many folks that I've become friends with over the years that have come from all over the country, from 8 different countries. A lot of friends from Canada that are really big into the pinball and arcades and retro things, and it's kind of funny. We're all end up being about the same age because this is all the stuff that we used to play with when we were kids.
Yeah.
and it's really fun to see. It's really fun to see parents introducing their children to pinball and all these things that we grew up with. And I have a friend, actually, we brought his son when he was 8 2 years ago, and on his 9th birthday, he requested to have it at a place with pinball. He wanted a pinball birthday party, so the young people are getting into it.
Matt Stringer, that's right. Thanks so much for joining us. I just looked it up, the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. You can get in for $55 for adults, $30 for kids today, and then tomorrow it's $30 for adults and $20 for kids. Matt Stringer, thanks so much for walking us around the expo hall there as folks are taking all of this in. I do appreciate it. We still have a lot more ahead. At the top of the hour at noon, we're going to get a check of the forecast with our Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes. We are back in just 2 minutes. It is a Saturday afternoon. We have now reached noon on this Saturday. We're so glad you're here. We know a lot of you guys are probably focused on the weather right now, so let's take a live look outside at Truist Park, where it is not raining yet, but it will be soon. We are tracking storms that are moving into Georgia right now. Depending where you are, you're either under a level 1, a level 2, or possibly even no risk for severe storms, but you are at risk guaranteed for rain at some point today. Let's bring in Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes. He's been tracking it all morning for us. Yep. And obviously we're looking at Truist Park there, or we're just looking at Truist Park. There's a game tonight.
There is, and I've gotten some questions about, I'm coming into town, I'm coming up from Thomaston, I don't want to go up if it's going to be washed out. I would emphasize that for the Nationals and Braves tonight, it's not going to be a washout, but there will be the chance for showers and storms. Another way of saying, I expect there to be a game, and the game will be played in its entirety. When it's played, that remains to be seen, right? Like a delay would be possible this evening. Obviously, already cloudy up there. I know you see the little sun and the moon icons there, but I really don't think we're going to see much of that into the evening hours tonight. So here's where things stand on Fox 5 Live Viper right now. Now to 81 in Atlanta. We've seen a little more sun in Canton at 85, 82 in Athens, 84 in Eatonton, hanging on to 79 up there in LaGrange. Now, this is Fox 5 Live Viper. I'm beginning to see this line come together a little more, particularly just across the Tennessee state line. Remember, the weather doesn't follow state lines. It has no idea where they are, but the lightning counter is picking up on what's going on just north of the state line. Might be hearing some rumbles of thunder. This is headed towards Blue Ridge over Carter's Lake now, where we've been talking about the search efforts going on in Carter's Lake. It is now raining there in Murray and Gilmer counties, and we're across Gordon County, moving into Pickens County, where we had the tornado earlier last week. or this week on Tuesday, and this extends down to the south. This is more rain rather than storms right now into parts of Haralson, Carroll, Heard, and Troup counties. A steady rain about to roll into LaGrange and West Point Lake right now. Hoping if you're trying to get out on the lake, you might be able to do it, say 2-3 o'clock. It's not going to be a huge window, but maybe a little bit of a window into the evening hours. And then we're starting to see some storms fire up out ahead of this main line. This is over in Oglethorpe County, north of Lexington. Looking at a pretty good downpour there. So for the day today, out the door for the remainder of the day, temperatures will be in the 80s, not necessarily going to get into the 90s because of that cloud cover with showers and thunderstorms around. And as they push through today, Tyler, there is a ton of moisture, and I mean a ton of moisture in our atmosphere. Quite the turnaround from yesterday, which means we would be looking at anything we get going to pose potentially a flash flood threat here through the afternoon. So we'll be watching that, especially into the next 48 hours, because if we see rainfall in the same spots, that's where you run into the flash flood threat. And where you are going to see that is where the front stalls out. If it's further west over the metro Atlanta area, that's an increased rain chance for us tomorrow. That's favored by the global models. Meanwhile, if it stalls out to the east, which is favored by our high resolution models, then that would be a lower rain chance for metro Atlanta, but not so much for places like Athens, Eatonton, Monticello, Greensboro, Thomaston, Washington, places off to the east. So something I'll be watching for here in the hours to come. SPC outlook today, we do have a low end level 1 for the northwest metro, and then picking up a level 2 in northwest Georgia. That's going to be for a line of storms coalescing this evening. And then for tomorrow, that level 2 goes away. The level 1 is in place for pretty much eastern Georgia. Now, I'm not going to show you an hour by hour because I think they're all worthless right now. None of them have a good starting point. And when you don't have a good starting point, you're not going to have a good forecast. Instead, I'll show you this 90% chance of rain today. But for back to school week, we are looking at daily showers and storms. It's kind of the summertime pattern, whereas today is the front, and that's going to take us through the week ahead. So for Monday at the bus stop, chance for showers and storms will be around, otherwise partly to mostly cloudy with temperatures in the 80s and then pushing 90 Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
So obviously with severe storms, we sign off at 12:30 on Fox Local and all of our streaming platforms. However, if the need arises, we'll have a meteorologist ready to break into programming?
If a tornado warning is issued, which I think is very unlikely, yes, somebody will be here, and whatever programming is on Fox will not be on Fox. We will be doing that type of coverage, but meteorologist Greg Majeski will definitely be here for Fox 5 News at 6, which is about when that activity will be at its peak, right? So, if something's happened, we'll tell you about it, I think is what it boils down to.
Sounds good. Alex Forbes, thanks so much for joining us and give us the update this afternoon. Let's get to some of the headlines we're following right now and talk about an arrest that has been made involving a 17-year-old suspect in connection to a deadly shooting at Piedmont Park during a 404-day celebration. Kane Burnett turned himself in to the Fulton County Jail last night. Investigators say Burnett is just 17 years old. 16-year-old Tiana Robinson was killed in the April 4th shooting. Burnett is charged with reckless conduct, possession of a pistol by a person under the age of 18, and discharging a weapon near a public street. At this point, we are still awaiting a mugshot of the suspect in this case. Again, 17-year-old Kane Burnett. We are awaiting that. As soon as we get it, we will, of course, let you know. Let's talk about this case right here. Let's show you the picture. We've been talking about it all morning. I mean, look at that cash. That is a huge stash that was recovered in Athens. A multi-agency drug investigation ended with a man in handcuffs and the seizure of tens of thousands of dollars in cash. According to the Athens-Clarke County Police Department, authorities, including the Northeast Georgia Regional Drug Task Force, recovered a trafficking quantity of fentanyl, 4 firearms, 4 vehicles, and approximately $74,000 in cold, hard cash. Authorities arrested Darren Turner. The Athens man faces multiple charges, including fentanyl trafficking and possession of firearms by a convicted felon. This next story is wild out of Hall County. Take a look at this. These are the 2 mugshots of the men who have been arrested by investigators. They're charged in connection to a drive-by shooting at a convenience store. Let me tell you what happened. Deputies have charged Travis White and Cooper Robinson with aggravated assault. It happened at the Stop By Food Mart on Dahlonega Highway. Authorities say the men went to the store to buy alcohol. The clerk refused to sell them alcohol. which led to an argument before the men left the business. Deputies say a woman also jumped into the argument in defense of the clerk. Investigators say once they got in their car, clearly not happy that they didn't get the alcohol they wanted, the suspects fired at the store, according to the investigators in Hall County. They're now facing charges, and of course, they will be answering for what they are accused of doing. Let's talk about a cold case in Paulding County. The coroner there says she will conduct an inquest into the 2017 death of Heather Turner. This is happening months after the sheriff's office closed the case. In May 2017, Turner's husband, Andy Turner, found her inside their home with a gunshot wound to her head. This past February, the sheriff's office officially ruled the death a suicide. The coroner there in Paulding County said she was not included in several meetings with investigators earlier this year. And the coroner says she is not prepared to support changing Turner's death certificate from undetermined to suicide. She believes an inquest jury should hear sworn testimony about the death, and that would allow a jury to decide Turner's manner of death. The coroner says she will hold a news conference within 2 weeks to discuss the next steps in this case. Let's take you now to a North Georgia lake where a search is underway for a missing man. Multiple law enforcement agencies are working to find the man you just saw on your screen. He was last seen at Carter's Lake in North Georgia. Authorities say Sean Cunningham has been missing for several days, and authorities say they are searching about a 2-square-mile area of Carter's Lake in the air and in the water to find Sean Cunningham. Right now, they're working around the clock to find more clues that lead them to him. Fox 5 drone video captured some of the area authorities are searching in Murray and Gilmore counties, and authorities say the 37-year-old from Florida was last heard from last Tuesday night, or late Tuesday night rather, while taking cover from severe storms. Take a listen to what the Georgia Department of Natural Resources investigators have to say.
Talked to his friend that he indicated that he was under a dock taking shelter from some of those storms, and that he at some point had been on the lake during the storms and was having trouble paddling against those winds that were coming through with that storm.
Authorities say Cunningham took off from the Wood Ring campground on Carter's Lake. DNR officials say Cunningham's backpack has been recovered, but there is no sign of his green canoe. Authorities are asking anyone who may know where Cunningham is to give a call to Georgia DNR or to local law enforcement as soon as possible. They would love to get answers. And finally, let's talk about this story in Atlanta, and has to do with Formula One cars, because they are apparently coming to Summer Hill today as part of the Red Bull show run. But neighbors say the high-speed event poses big safety risks. The neighborhood voted it down twice, but city officials still approved the permit for the event. Roaring engines and burning rubber are coming to Hank Aaron Drive, and tens of thousands of fans are expected to watch this afternoon as Formula One drivers will show off high-speed skills along a half-mile stretch of Hank Aaron Drive in the Summer Hill neighborhood. Some residents say they worry about the potential danger of the number of fans and high-speed cars in the neighborhood, as well as any damage it may cause. Councilman Michael Julian Bond sympathizes with residents, but he says if permits pass public safety checks, the city normally approves them.
If we do not have a public safety concern or a legal concern, normally the permits are granted, meaning, having the adequate number of police officers to support it and whatever other EMS services that might be required.
So that was Michael Julian Bond. He's one of our city council members here in the city of Atlanta. And so the area where they're going to be holding this is actually a major bus route for MARTA's Bus Rapid Transit line. And MARTA says it has requested reimbursement for any rerouting needed because they're having to kind of change how they're doing things, and also have to deal with the road closures as well as construction delays, customer communication, and damage. So I guess they're still awaiting that question about how they're going to get reimbursed. The event is scheduled to begin at 5 p.m. However, I should mention, and I say a big however, you just heard from Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes. He was saying that because of the rain we're expecting, and it's going to hit about 6 o'clock, that's when the most activity is going to be, we don't know whether the Red Bull show run is going to be impacted. So we're going to be monitoring that throughout the afternoon. And as we come back into our newsroom on this Saturday afternoon, we're staying on top of everything headline-wise that's happening, the weather. We've talked about all of that so far. Let's, in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about back to school. We're going to join Maria Guzman, who is live in DeKalb County. We'll see her in just about 2 minutes. And the time now is 12:14 on this Saturday afternoon. I'm Tyler Finger. Thanks so much for sticking with us for Fox 5 News Live. Remember, this is an interactive news conversation. We are live streaming on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I actually have our TikTok open right now. I'm monitoring the comments. So if you have something you want to ask, a question about something we're talking about, certainly drop it in the comments and I'll try to get it answered for you. So as I promised, right before we went to break, we're going to be talking about back to school. So we know a huge number of counties here in the metro Atlanta area are going back to school on Monday, August 3rd. Look at that. Look at the list. I would say roughly probably about a third of our area will be heading back to school. And as we look right now, you know that the city of Atlanta schools, so that's Atlanta Public Schools, will be heading back. Cherokee County, Clayton County, Cobb County, Decatur City, DeKalb County, Fayette County, Fulton County, and I could keep going on and on and on. I mean, as we go through, Rockdale County is returning, Newton County, lots of counties are heading back. And as you can see on that list, one of them is DeKalb County. And there is a massive church out in Stonecrest. You've probably heard of them, New Birth Missionary Baptist. Today, they're holding a big back-to-school event to make sure that everyone's ready for the new school year on Monday. And Maria Guzman has been at that event all day. Lots of folks have come by to collect some food and some back-to-school supplies. Maria, what's it looking like right now? I know when we checked in with you at 11 o'clock, you had mentioned that the food had pretty much run out at that point. But what was it like today, and why is this so important? Good afternoon to you.
Hey, Tyler. Listen, the work here is done. All the volunteers, all the organizers, they feel accomplished because they were able to help about 1,000 families. They drove in here into this parking lot. Now behind me is just boxes, right? Now they're starting to put this all away, but just about an hour ago, this parking lot was filled. All those boxes were filled with food, anything from fresh produce to fruit. Bread, you know, they really equipped the families with essential items that they're going to be able to make lunches, make breakfast for their kids, and also some school supplies. But I got a chance to speak with the pastor of the church that led this outreach, and he just told me that in the congregation and also as well around the county, food insecurity is very visible. It's something that they often hear about, and a lot of the times too, families are trying to make ends meet, especially with back to school. They're having a hard time buying those school supplies. So they hosted this special back to school bash, and this is actually a 2-day event. So the first day just wrapped up, and tomorrow there's more celebration. But let's go ahead and take a listen to the pastor and how many families they were able to help as well.
This is not charity, it's compassion, it's community. There are no questions asked about whether you're a member or how much money you make. If you have a need, pull up and we meet it. And so many people are relieved to know that they can be treated with decency and humanity without feeling looked down upon. And so I think that this is what the real church is supposed to look like. Each card will get, if you've got school-age children, you'll get school supplies. Otherwise, you'll get bakery goods, you'll get fresh produce, you'll get fresh food, and you will get poultry. The pressure on so many families trying to make sure they have enough for their children who are going back to school, and what is silently crushing is how many grandparents are taking care of grandchildren and don't have enough. But I'm excited that we're able to meet the need and exceed the expectation. 1,000 families are going to be blessed on today. I am overwhelmingly grateful that we do it twice a month, the first and the third Saturday. I'm grateful for the generous heart of the givers of New Birth and for stakeholders in the larger community who see the good work and donate. I'm grateful that we have 200 volunteers weekly. They come not just from our members, from civil and social organizations, from community organizations, Pan-Hellenic organizations, organizations and other churches come and work alongside us. Tomorrow we're expecting 100 principals from DeKalb County. There are 183 schools in the county. We're going to give them professional supplies as well as things to help decorate their classroom, and pray for all of our educators so that they're mentally and spiritually equipped for the coming school year. Because I think they are the unsung heroes of the community. They give so much and receive so little, and I think they are worthy of a soldier's reward. Yeah, we're here generally from 9 until 11, but we don't leave until all supplies are gone.
So, those supplies were able to be given and passed out within about 2 hours. And that's because even before the event started, there was already a huge line of cars. This parking lot's empty, but if you just would have been here and seen it, about an hour ago, it was packed. And I spoke to a woman who was here, and she arrived here. She parked her car last night at 9:30 p.m. so she can be the first car to pull up and get some groceries and some back-to-school supplies. So even before 9 a.m. here, there was already a packed line, and some volunteers here have just left, and all that's left here is just to put all those empty boxes, all those bins away where all the food was today. Tyler.
Maria, I know they're doing stuff tomorrow as well. I appreciate you giving us a look at what is going on out there at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, the great work they did to help so many people in our community. Maria, thank you so much. And I want to talk real quick about the cyclospora outbreak that we have been focusing a lot of effort on and attention on because of the issues happening with the lettuce. Because obviously there's a huge danger, because we know there have been 18,000 cases in 45 states, mostly centered in the Midwest, and roughly 400 or so people have been hospitalized, and that number is expected to climb. The good news here, there has been no deaths so far. Health officials had linked cyclospora to iceberg lettuce supplied by Taylor Farms to Taco Bell. It led to a recall, but some experts say it wasn't fast enough to stop the spread. Obviously, officials from the CDC say the real number of cases is likely much higher than the official count when it comes to the number of people, because some people may not actually get medical attention, ever find out that they actually have it for real. So obviously we are keeping everyone up to date on what is happening with that, and we will continue to do that here on Fox 5 News Live. As we come back into the newsroom, there has been a big case we have monitored, and today, as I take the banner right here, marks 6 months since Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her Tucson area home. Our fabulous Ella Talmadge, one of our producers here on Fox 5 News Live, joins me now with an update. That story is trending on our website. Lots of people are talking about it. Yesterday we found out they finally released some ransom notes. Investigators, what can you tell us about?
Yeah, so this has not just been trending on our website, it's been trending everywhere. I'm following it, you're following it. I think we're all really interested in seeing what's going on here. But yeah, I want to break down these letters that the Piedmont County Sheriff's Office has released yesterday. So I'm just going to read out some of the highlights of the letter now. The very first one that was received was sent to KOLD Tucson news station, and it reads, "Hello, Savannah. We have your mother, Nancy. She is safe but scared. She will be held for ransom, and once payment is received, she will be released unharmed." So the kidnappers then leave instructions to pay $4 million USD before 5 p.m. on Thursday the 5th of February, and then a second due date with an increased ransom, and that's Monday the 9th with a ransom of $6 million USD. They continue by saying if payment is not received by the last deadline on Monday the 9th at 5 p.m., she will be killed. Your mother is aware of this and her life is in your hands. Do not play games. Law enforcement will not be able to help you. Then they write out the Bitcoin address for payment routing, and then finish with the following information. She has a white smartwatch on the floor, on the foot of her bed, and the white floodlight in the backyard was destroyed. So that is really the piece that is interesting to me, and I think interesting to a lot of law enforcement. Retired police chief Jeff Halstead, who formerly worked with the Phoenix Police Department, says that these specific details point to the note being legitimate. They're not saying that it definitely is, but just the mention of these specific details, especially since they were keeping media and press out of the backyard in Nancy's Tucson home. So that kind of points to
it being legitimate.
yeah,
Someone
specific
clearly knew
detail.
exactly what happened because
Exactly.
it's not something that you would just, unless a source told you.
The floodlights specifically, authorities did not release to media, and so they were definitely interested when they saw that in the note. And three things kind of stuck out to me. The first is the mention of USD specifically. The letter is addressed to Savannah Guthrie, her daughter, but not the Guthrie family at large, specifically Savannah. And then the language itself is really like urgent, payment focused. There's no beating around the bush. If you want her back, you pay this much, and this is how you do it.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the second letter received just 4 days after the first, before the 7-day deadline was up. And it reads totally different. And Tyler, I want you to really listen to the tone shift here. It says, Guthrie family, we did not fully grasp the seriousness of her physical condition. We never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. She perished shortly after she was taken. We believe it was heart-related. She's buried in nature now. Nothing you could have done could have changed the outcome. We want your family to know this and hope you all can find peace. We are truly sorry. So I don't know if you heard anything different there. I definitely did.
Yeah.
The urgency vanishes completely. It's very much it's no longer about money. And then the conclusion of we are truly sorry, that totally stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Chief Halstead also commented on this letter saying it's almost like they just kind of ended their case by trying to get rid of, get away from the specific dollars, amounts, and timelines, and now they're just putting a closing statement on, whoops, we didn't know she was sick. We didn't know this would happen. Sorry, hope you guys can move on, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So this is just my speculation, but the mention of USD and then the word perished in the second letter, I feel like these are things that Americans wouldn't say. When we talk about money, do you ever say like, hey, Ella, Venmo me 20 USD?
Yeah, I don't think I would ever use that. And you kept saying USD, and I was wondering at first why you kept saying it when you were reading it.
That really
because
stuck out
for
to
me, I would have always said dollars or just, I would never say US dollar. I mean, even though that's what it is a US dollar, I would just say, hey, give me $20.
Right. So the combination of USD and then the word perished instead of died, I think a lot of native English speakers would just say like she died or maybe she passed. That makes me think that, again, just my speculation, and definitely these are rumors circulating online, that potentially not Americans and potentially not native English speakers.
Yeah, because I don't know if I would say perish, but I just want to see if we can play it real quick. Earlier this week, Savannah Guthrie had posted on Instagram. I see it being loaded up in our system right now. I want to play you a quick 20-second clip from what she had to say when she posted to Instagram, pleading for her mom to be returned to her.
It's been months since our mom was taken from us. Our family is in agony. We are in a nightmare that will not end. Nothing about our situation has changed. We have done our part, and we will never stop looking for her.
Yeah, obviously you can hear the pain in her voice. She just wants her mom back. The whole family wants the mom back. And then they released these ransom notes from back in February. It's been 6 months. I'm assuming at this point they're just hoping for some closure.
Yeah, I think that's all that any of us can hope for. Again, the police, sheriff's county, Piedmont County, thank you.
Piedmont County Sheriff,
Piedmont County
Chris
Sheriff,
Nanos.
thank you. You know exactly what I'm trying to say here. They say it's never too late for anyone to reach out. If you know anything or have seen anything, please call the FBI. And again, the Guthrie family is still offering that $1 million reward for information leading to finding Nancy.
It's understandable that this is trending. This story we're going to stay on top of. Even though today's a 6-month anniversary, we're going to keep people up to date on the Nancy Guthrie case. But that is going to do it for us for Fox 5 News Live at the noon hour here on this Saturday. Don't go anywhere. We're going to keep you up to date on all of the storms and the weather. And make it a great rest of your day, everyone.
Bye.